Grapsody with Will, Phil, and Reg, trying to keep it real instead of what you usually get from these talking heads. It's Grapsody, we're here to fill the void. 3 black fans, different perspective, got to fill your voice. Coming with the podcast, talking majors, indies in between, yeah, it's all that. And we're down with Fightful, better fall back. Coming for respect, we connect like a ball bat. No need to double check, these are all facts. You're listening to us talk raps. You're listening to us talk raps. Will, Phil, and Reg. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps.
Welcome. It is I. It's he. This is Grapsody. It's Saturday. Got a pay-per-view tonight. I think I'm doing this post-show.
What you mean you think?
Should be more firm in that. But nonetheless, you are here for Grapsody. I'm Phil Lindsey. Righteous Reg is in the building. How are you?
In the building. It's your favorite rapper, your favorite writer, your favorite podcaster, media man in the building. Righteous Reg. It's Saturday morning. Grapsody podcast. Feeling good. Philip Lindsey's going to be watching a pay-per-view tonight. Righteous Reg is going to be at the Oakland Arena watching some Collision. Very excited about it.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Collision is in Oakland tonight. Should be a fun one. Got Big Dan Garcia taking on Adam Cole. TNT title match.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying for a few weeks now, Collision has quietly gotten better and better. It seems like more and more since it's been on Max, it has become a much better show.
Yeah, when the conversion to Max, like the shows feel much tighter. They have a lot of stories. It just feels like a show you want to go out of your way to see, and not like, oh, Collision was on, let me watch it. You know what I mean? Before we really move forward, and what do you feel about this title match? Do you feel like Adam Cole's gonna do it? Is it over for Daniel Garcia already?
I don't. I think that this is a way to give Big Dan a title defense under his belt. He is desperately in need of one.
That's a fact.
So at least I hope that's where it's going, because I don't think that this title reign has been good. I don't think they've necessarily booked him well as champion. So I hope he's going to pick up the win tonight.
Oh, it's going to be real unfortunate if Adam Cole just is and they just move forward. Like, it's not really the way to go. But, yeah, it should be pretty fun. Hoping to see some homies out there tonight. If you see me out in them Oakland, California arena streets, definitely say what's up to your boy. Other than that, Phil, how's your week been, my brother?
It's been a interesting week. Weather-wise, it was very warm here. Unseasonably warm for the end of February. And then I went outside this morning, and it's cold again. So that's where we are. It's still very sunny, but cold. But
global warming.
Yeah, no, it was like 50 degrees at one point this week.
Yeah, it was warm. I was in San Francisco dog sitting, and it was warm. Like, I was in a tank top at one point. I'm like, all right, it's February. What the hell's going on here? I'm not really into this at this moment, but now today it's freezing outside. Got my Grapsody hoodie on and trying to stay warm out in these streets.
Yeah. I Thursday I did the Ask Grapsody stream. Appreciate everybody that came through. And then right afterwards I left right out and went into the city, and again I was like, it's like warm. This whole weather thing is strange. Went to the city, went to the movies, just kind of hugging the city.
What you watched?
I went to see Captain America 4. I don't really understand why people were trashing this movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. I didn't understand why people seem to hate it so much, but that's just the world right now.
I just saw so much hate before the movie had even came out. I was like, what's going on here? And then like the reviews start rolling in, and it wasn't like this is the worst movie of all time, but it was like there was something behind it. You know, it felt like people, I don't know what it was. It's probably because the homie Anthony Mackie is a polarizing character, but something was behind it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Didn't have anything else to do Thursday night. Had to get some work done when I came back, but that was fine. I didn't understand. I don't know. I don't understand why people were so up in arms about it, but it was fine. We've got basketball stuff. Steph Curry continues to be Steph Curry. Hit 12 threes the other night. I think that was Thursday too, right?
Was that Thursday? Yeah, that was
Yes.
Thursday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hit 12 threes, 56 points. Like, guy, I keep trying to tell people, all-time great. I'm not trying to hear any of these other slanderous words about this guy. One of the most exciting basketball players to watch.
Unbelievable. I had just watched earlier this week, there's a new documentary on Netflix called Court of Gold. It's about the Olympic basketball thing. And so the documentary is great if you want to watch some good basketball talk, see some of your favorite players. But the way that it starts is it starts with Steph Curry, and he was essentially like, yeah, I was watching the World Cup of basketball and we lost. And like, you could just see it in his eyes that he hated it. And so like, from that moment, you knew he was going to go and do what he did in the Olympics. Like in his eyes, he was like, I'm going to burn these fools down because they're never going to treat American basketball like this. And so like a lot of it is just about the Americans trying to prove that they're as good or as better than the dream team and like that kind of thing. And then Steph Curry went and did that. And I was like living off of that. And then this thing happens the other night. I'm like, oh yeah, he's still that guy. Like it's not like stopping. He can still go into a game and hit 12 threes. Some people don't hit 12 threes in their whole career, Phil, and he hit one in one game.
Yeah. I believe the record is 14, too shy of the record.
Unbelievable.
And I think he holds the record, doesn't he? For most threes in a game?
I think so.
But yeah, no. As soon as you said burn it down, I immediately thought about him like getting excited for this game. And then like he's like coming into the locker room.
His fits don't be like that though, but like maybe he could switch it up just for one day. But yeah, Bay Area basketball legend Steph Curry is still doing it on a weekly basis. Great to see Jimmy Butler out there feeding them assists. I'm feeling good about the rest of the season for the Warriors. So
yes, Anecdotes is saying that Klay Thompson also actually had the record for most threes in the game with 14. Two of the best shooters are really played together at one point. Yeah, I wasn't sure on that. That's why I was like, I think he has the record, but I wasn't sure without picking up my phone and Googling it.
14
so appreciate
threes
you.
Is so ridiculous. 12 threes, 10 threes, 5 threes is crazy. These guys are insane.
Yeah, incredible. The other thing out of this week was LeBron James and his I don't want to say war of words with media this week, which was covered to death because it's LeBron James and most things he does gets covered this way. But this came out of Anthony Edwards' quote about not wanting to be the face of the league because, you know, when you're the face of the league, there's the scrutiny that comes with that. And so we then got this response from LeBron of him saying, yeah, I understand. Why would you want to be the face of the league in this time when there's so much negativity around our sport and, you know, whoever is going to have that title is going to get trashed. Now, at face value, he's absolutely correct.
1,000%.
But this is LeBron James we're talking about. Like, you can't just, I don't know.
You know what it felt like to me, Phil Lindsey? It felt like Drake suing UMG for practices that he employed. It felt exactly like that. LeBron's like, oh, I hate that. Who would want to be that stupid guy? And it's him.
Yeah, okay. LeBron, who has been face of the league for over a decade at this point, multi-millionaire, has benefited very much by the way that he is covered in basketball. I don't care what's going on in the world. ESPN is going to find a way to talk about him. And so when Stephen A. did exactly what I knew he was going to do and talk about this the next day on all of his shows, and then LeBron was like, see, made my point. I'm like, but you knew he was going to do that. And I don't think that makes your point any more valid. I think that's just what the state of this is, because it's not just like any basketball player said that. It's not like Anthony Simons or somebody came out and was like, nah, they be wilding. It's too negative. The biggest basketball player in the world said this. So of course every channel is going to talk about it. It's not like, oh, we just search out negativity to only talk about that. No, you're the biggest basketball player in the world. When you say things, it matters.
They talk about whatever you say. If you're like, I ate tacos for dinner, that's a news story on SportsCenter the next day. No matter what you do, like part of what you're talking about, you created a lot of it. It's so much focus on one guy and one thing and everything that he does that they have to talk about negative things because they have to find something on you in every way.
Yeah. As somebody that I guess is quote unquote media, and we know how these things go.
Yeah.
Games are played behind the scenes with media that some people don't understand.
Facts.
And if you're in media, you know it. And so when I was watching Stephen A talk about this, I was like, oh, I know exactly what he's saying. I know exactly what he's saying without saying it. I am reading between the lines of what he's saying. There are things that he cannot say, but I know exactly what he's saying. Because at one point, he broke down his timeline about LeBron and coming out of the decision and the way that was covered, and all of these things that he has basically asked. Well, I won't say asked. He has generated attention off of, and what that did for the sport, what that did for the coverage of the sport, and he's basically saying without saying, LeBron James has fed into the ecosystem that is the NBA media right now. And he knows that. He knows that there are calls being made on his behalf from his representatives to people behind closed doors that you can't talk about on the air, but he knows that. At one point, he started jokingly saying, well, I don't know if you know this, but great father figure, great man, the second best player. Yeah, humanitarian, second best player in the world. And I knew exactly what he meant because he said this before on the air where he said that people from Clutch Sports have called him just because he said he was the second best player in the world because they thought that was a slight.
Yep.
And so that's what I mean. When you come out and say, all right, it's so much negativity around this sport, you, sir, feed into a lot of negatives. Your representatives spread and spin narratives all the time. For you to just be like, oh, the media is so terrible and just divorce yourself from what's happening in the media is hilarious.
Yeah.
But again, it's LeBron, so he can do that and it's taken at face value. Everybody's going to look at it like, well, he is put under heavily scrutiny and he is
if anybody can say it, he can say it.
He is treated unfairly. And look, I won't deny that he is treated unfairly sometimes. And there is a lot of scrutiny that comes with this. But you're the face of the league. Anybody that has been the face of the league has been under heavy scrutiny. That's not a new thing. Jordan, heavy scrutiny. I said at one point because somebody was like, nobody has been more scrutinized than LeBron. I was like, that's not true. Jordan's gambling issues had nothing to do with basketball, but that was covered ad nauseum at one point. There are people to this day that think he got his father killed. And people will be like, well, they never made it that personal with Jordan. What is more personal than that? This guy is grieving, and there were people that were like, you got your father killed. With no evidence of that. And there are other things like that. I mean, like some of his stuff with women, some of his stuff with his wife have been covered. I mean, even look at some of the stuff with his son and Scottie Pippen recently that was covered in a way that I don't think is none of our business. That's just what comes with anything when you are the guy, when you are in the spotlight in anything, you're going to be scrutinized. Now,
look at how much shit Kobe went through.
Kobe, I mean, look at how they covered Magic Johnson when he had AIDS and how crazy that got, how unfairly players reacted to that. And that's why I'm like, I get it, man. I do think that there's a lot of negativity that permeates conversation around basketball online, on podcasts, and in the media. But it's just, it's a complicated conversation. And when you've got LeBron doing what he does and spinning off of this, also, you should put into context, this is the most negative it's been to talk about LeBron in some time for multiple reasons. The stuff with his son and the way people have criticized that, and coming out of All-Star Weekend and how he handled that, and how people talked about him after that. And so for him to come after that now and never really address how he handled the All-Star Weekend stuff, and then just be like, yeah, I see why you wouldn't want to be face of the league. It's just too negative, dog. Like, come on, man. Like, come on.
Just
and I know
shit and then be like, man, they're so negative out there. I don't know why they're overreacting to this.
Yeah, and I know people are going to be like, well, you just don't like LeBron, but I just think that two conversations are being had
Yeah.
that are distinctly separate here. And like I said, I do think that he is treated unfairly sometimes, but I also think that he plays into why the media is the way it is sometimes. I thought Stephen A made a great point. Boy, do I hate admitting when he has a great point because I just generally don't like the guy. I generally don't like what he's done to ESPN. I hate debate shows. I hate that this is where we are. But he made this great point about how I think a lot of people, when they say media, they're not specific because it's touchy with some people now. Now, when people talk about media, they're talking about podcasters and, somebody that has a microphone in front of them that may not be credentialed. But what is that now in a world where legacy media is up against, quote unquote new media and people paying attention to people that just have a YouTube channel or have a platform or somebody that's just on social media yapping. And I mean, when you have basketball players responding to podcasters and people on social media, this is where it is. So it's kind of tough because in the way he said it is people want to lump all of these things in the same bucket. When you say media, it's also like, okay, all of these things are negative because it's media, it's podcasters, it's social media. And absolutely right. There's a lot of negativity around all of those things, but you got to be careful with specifically what you're talking about. Now, also, ESPN sucks. So I won't defend ESPN. I won't even defend Stephen A. But there's just multiple things here at play that aren't just as simple as, oh, well, why are they so negative about LeBron? It's like, I don't know, but that's my spiel about that because I was watching a lot of this yesterday and I was like, I would love it if basketball was just basketball and it was just analysis and people didn't have to create stories and narratives around basketball. And I hate that that's what ESPN and a lot of these channels have become. But if you're going to sit here and act like LeBron has not only played a part in that but also benefited in that, boy, I got a bridge to sell you, buddy.
So when basketball season is over and there's nothing to talk about in basketball, they find stories on LeBron James on a weekly basis. Every week, something.
Yes.
When basketball is not happening, they're talking about this guy.
Yes.
So it's like, we hear you, but also like, dog.
Yes. One of the things I've hated for the past 2 or 3 years is when there's a better team, like the Denver Nuggets rise. We spent more time talking about whether or not the Lakers can beat this team and not talking about how good they are and why they're good. Even when they won, we were still talking about the Lakers. We still had to listen to ESPN talk about, oh, well, what happened here? Why couldn't the Lakers beat them? And why was this such a collapse? Can they recover next year and beat them? And then when they had their parade, oh, well, why are they still talking about the Lakers? Because you guys spent all this time acting like the Lakers were out of their league. And then when they beat them, it's just like, oh, we're shocked. It shouldn't have been a shock. They were the best team in basketball.
Right. And Lakers weren't that good.
No, and they're doing the same thing now. You're trying to build them up into contenders, and there are at least 3 teams in the West right now that I'm way more worried about than the Los Angeles Lakers. And again, I'm sure people will be like, yeah, but you don't like LeBron, but it doesn't have anything to do with that. OKC is the best team over there. Denver has been trending upwards. Golden State Warriors are 7-1 since Jimmy Butler got over there.
Yep. But it's LeBron. What Bronny doing though?
Yeah. There are also parallels here with wrestling media because we hear that quite a bit of why is it so negative? Why is it so negative about this product? And
especially with the media thing you're talking about, because they encompass everything in pro. They're like, oh, you're blah blah blah. Your grandma says this commentary. She's in media too. It's like, yo, hold on.
Yeah. It's an interesting conversation. I would be interested to see other people chime into some of these things that are in media. I saw some people talking about it. The other thing I thought was funny was people like, oh, well, of course Stephen A got out and said something. He made this personal. Well, wait a minute. If you come out and say NBA media is the problem, and the voice of the biggest outlet in sports is standing around listening to you say this, yeah, I'm going to respond because you're talking about me. It's just like if somebody came out tomorrow and was like, pro wrestling media is a problem. It's terrible. It's an epidemic. I would assume some of the biggest voices in this, like Dave Meltzer or maybe Sean, would say something.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because that's what they're talking about when they say that. Because that happens pretty often. And people are like, media is garbage. And it's like underneath the Dave Meltzer post.
Yeah. I don't think that's I'm taking it personally. This is my profession. This is what I do. So if you're talking about me and what I do, then yeah, I'm going to have a response.
Mm-hmm. As he should. Because he does represent that. And he is talking about him, regardless of how LeBron tries to spin it.
Yeah. And people were like, oh, well, how do you even know he was talking about him? And then immediately when he said all those things on First Take, LeBron was like, exactly, made my point. And I'm like, so,
well, how do you know he meant him though?
I don't know, man. I just think that there's a lot of conversation here where people on both sides are making valid points, but there are also people on one side that are being very intentionally obtuse and acting like, oh, I don't understand. Why would he even respond or why would he even feel that way? You know why. Come on.
It's LeBron. Like this is a thing. Like the thing that he's talking about is happening while he's talking about. It's like fucking dream inception or some shit. Like, oh yeah, the thing that you're saying is happening, but you're saying it's not happening while it's. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but yeah, as someone that's in media, I sometimes recently I've been a lot like, who cares? But like, there was a time when I would see messages like that of wrestling media sucks or blah blah blah. These people do this thing or. The press conferences were the biggest deal, I think, Phil, when we would come out of those and people would be like, what the fuck is wrestling media doing? But we would have asked good questions. So I'm like, well, you can't really say that about all of us because, like, we did our job, I think, in there. So, like, there was times where that was really frustrating. So I do understand that, you know?
Yes. Yes. Josh Jones is saying, I wish another person would actually would have said this so people would actually hear what was being said. Because it's LeBron, people will frame it through how they feel about him. Yes and no. And that just comes with the territory with who he is. He's one of the biggest, I mean, not even one of the biggest basketball player in the world. Yeah. And so when he says things, it's going to be scrutinized differently. It's going to be under a microscope of not just, you know, what he's saying, but everything around him, everything that encompasses his presence in basketball and the media. So that is fair. But at the same time, that's why I said he knew when he said that what comes with that. And you can't just be able to just say things and act like, well, I don't know why anybody would respond that way. Yes, you do. Come on now.
See, it's a double-edged sword because, like, he almost has to be the one to say it, though, because he has the loudest voice. And like you said, if somebody else says it, it's not going to hit us. They're going to be like, they'll say it'll become a thing, but not a thing like if LeBron says it. He like it almost
Correct.
has to come from him.
Correct. I also feel the point that there is a lot of negativity around basketball in general.
Yeah,
I think that online, the way people talk about players is a bit too much. And I think when you see certain things on ESPN, the way they talk about these players, the way they judge their legacy is a bit much. And I felt that way for a long time. And it's part of why I don't like the GOAT debate. And I've been saying that for the longest, that it's become very toxic. It's become about trying to tear somebody else's accomplishments down to prop somebody else's up. And I just don't think that you need to do that. I think that both LeBron and Jordan are great in their own right. LeBron has made his own lane. You don't have to keep comparing him to somebody else to say that he's great. He's already great. We know that. I just don't think that you need to do that.
Yeah, the thing that you're describing here is sometimes what, like, while I love Inside the NBA and shows like that, sometimes like someone like Shaq will get into like a young player and how they're this and they're that, and it's like that's not really what this show should be about. You guys should be like talking stats and talking these things. Sometimes it gets way too personal onto like these kids and people trying to improve and become better basketball players.
Yeah, that stuff I don't like at all. About part of the current landscape around basketball, the conversations around basketball, I don't care for that at all. Like if it's just, you know, your take on basketball and, you know, why somebody can improve or why they're not doing well or whatever, that's fine. But when it turns into personal stuff, I don't think we should be doing that. And I feel the same way in general about how we cover wrestling. I don't want to get on here and then get into people's personal lives or start making conversations about how I feel about them as a person. That has nothing to do with them as a wrestler.
Mm-hmm. That's what I try to tell wrestlers when they're frustrated and angry. I'm like, dog, I don't even know anything personal about you. I'm talking about the wrestling character that I see on TV. Anytime that I'm on here saying something positive or negative, is just what is presented to me. I'm not adding anything personal in here because I don't care about any of that shit. I'm here covering wrestling shows that we all watch together.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, this did exactly what I knew it was going to do because it's LeBron when he throws his hat in the ring with things, because of how big he is, things turn into a circus. It's just that's just what it is, and I don't think that's always his intent. That's just the level of stardom he's at this point.
Right. Like he could have said the most 5 positive things on the same interview that he did, and it still would be spent to something negative. Like it doesn't matter. You could say you could be like, I love basketball. This is the greatest sport of all time. All the media is great, and they would have spent that into something else. Just the game.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Shout out to LeBron though. I'm not a LeBron hater like my partner here, and I think he's one of the GOATs.
Yeah, I think it's a funny conversation around not liking him as well, because there's rivalries in basketball. There always have been. And part of, you know, fandom of basketball is not liking somebody. I mean, yeah. I've known New Yorkers that have always hated Jordan, and I never took that personally because I'm like, oh, well, you're a Knicks fan. You're not supposed to like the guy. I've known Detroit fans that are like, I hate this guy. And it's like, oh, okay, I feel you. I don't like Detroit. I don't like Isaiah Thomas. Cool. It's not personal. That's why it's always funny when people are like, oh, well, you just don't like LeBron. Well, yeah. That's fine. I don't have to like him. I don't know why people act like you have to like this guy. No, you don't.
Mm-mm. That's not even how sports work.
Bro, I hated Kobe for a long time. Hated him. But it was never made into this, oh, you gotta like him or you're disrespecting his legacy. No, he's a phenomenal player. Was a phenomenal player. One of the greatest villains in basketball. It was fun to root against him. At one point, he was basically Super Cena, man. Like, he would be beating people, and I hated it. But he's great. He was great. That doesn't mean I'm disrespecting him by saying I just don't like him. It's fine.
That's hilarious. The dog really was Super Cena at one point. It's like, oh, Kobe again?
Yeah. Bro, there were times where I'd be rooting against him, and he'd start hitting shots. I'm like, yo. It's like, what could you do? You can't even get back, and the guy's just good.
That reminds me of one of the on the Court of Gold documentary. At one point, USA's playing Serbia, and like Serbia's like putting it on them at first in like the first couple of minutes of the game, and then Steph Curry takes over. He starts hitting threes, and they zoom over to the Serbia coach, and he goes, "Oh, fuck off!" Like he just knew the game. He just knew the game was over. Like he saw Steph hit 2 shots, and he goes, "Oh, fuck off."
Like, oh, fuck off is hilarious.
He knew it was over.
Yeah, no, I was a big Iverson fan, and I wanted them to win that year. And watching the Sixers get crushed by them because it's Shaq and Kobe. Like, what are you gonna do?
No stopping those two guys. You could have brought the goddamn Avengers and the Transformers out there. Shaq and Kobe was about to cross and dunk on those guys. That was crazy. Crazy times.
Yeah, it's a few players like that it's just, that's what it was. Like Boston, when Boston was good, like, yo, get these guys out of here, man. Like,
I felt like that about Tim Duncan for a reason. I just like, something about Tim. I was like, he's great now. He's killing it. But like fucking Spurs, I hated the Spurs.
It's Cali. I know a lot of Cali guys that hated the Spurs. Hated Tim Duncan. A lot, especially Lakers fans, hated them.
Hate him. The worst. Great basketball player, amazing guy, but like, fuck off.
If you want to get your chats read on this podcast, the best way to do that is through super chats. Send us your super chats, or you can send us humper chats humperchats.com/Fightful.
Yeah, it's definitely send in your super and humper chats because I know you guys probably want to switch the conversation after 30 minutes of basketball talk, but you know what time it is. You know us, Grapsody. You know how the things that we do. So yeah, of course, appreciate everybody for being here. Appreciate the support and appreciate everybody submitting super and humper chats. Let's get into a couple of them. Brian Anthony Rivers says, so FedSense, are we ready to have that conversation about Credit Boy after his past month of not acknowledging Black History Month? Vince is a POS and even he did it. Even he did it is crazy, Phil.
Yeah, not a great look.
No.
And I think the timing of it makes it even worse with all of the stuff being said about DEI and the conversations being had around, woke, which I hate because people are are misusing that word. Also, when you look at what's happening with the government and Trump making a point of trying to take Black history out of institutions. He was trying to take history around the Tuskegee Airmen out of the Air Force. And this is a very real thing. So when you have something that seems frivolous, like this entertainment company not recognizing Black history, it's hard to not see the correlation. Anybody that's denying it, like, it feels like there's a clear correlation with the time we're in. And, also, Linda McMahon being linked to this cabinet, people in this company that are probably MAGA. Like, it's hard to deny that. That's probably the reason why we did not see any Black History Month celebration this year.
It looks crazy. Just what Brian is describing here, like I've been watching WWE my whole life, and every year they've done at least something. Some still a magazine photo, like they've acknowledged Black History Month. Even without Black performers being on the show, it still was some kind of thing. And for it to, like, in this year when all this craziness is happening, people getting fired from their jobs, it's just like wild stuff. For it to be happening at the exact same time, it looks crazy. Like, no matter how you spin it, it's just like, oh, that's interesting. And then, like, the people on the show is kind of interesting booking too. Black male performers are probably the worst they've been in a long time. It's like, okay, all right, I see.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. I think one of the big glaring booking issues to me is, what are they doing with the New Day? Mm-hmm. Like, New Day had one of the best moments of 2024, incredible heel turn. And I don't think that they've capitalized on it well.
No, they have not. Every time, after that, we talked at length at that great promo that they did, the stuff with Big E. Like, it's still the passion. Like, when you watch them, like, Xavier's trying to sell this thing so hard. I'm loving Kofi as a heel. It's like they're trying to do it, but they're just like, they did that angle with Rey Mysterio where it was after the show, and they do things where it's like, well, how are they supposed to get heat when they're not even really presented in the way to get heat?
Yeah, when you look at what Kofi's doing on social media,
right,
what those guys keep trying to do, it's there. You can see all the creativity there. You can see the motivation to make this work. And I just don't think that the booking has done them any favors. I keep saying the point of this whole thing was to step up their game and get back in the title picture. So since the heel turn, why are they not challenging for the tag titles? What's the holdup? I don't get it.
Well, our homie Leonard Aaron III has a couple of thoughts on this too. He says, I said this on Twitter and I'll reiterate it here. WWE is as much MAGA as UFC is. Triple H done told y'all what this is, and y'all still out here waiting for it to be one way when they shown what it is.
Yeah, I think that's the other part of this. It's not just the correlation between a McMahon in his cabinet and the links between there. Also, we know where the UFC stands. We know how very MAGA UFC has been for a while, and then they're now under the same umbrella with TKO. Yeah. It's hard to deny how bad this looks, and I don't know how anybody that's a fan of WWE could just act like none of this is happening. Because it looks terrible.
Triple H, man, he cannot beat those allegations. Like, he just keeps being like, "You think so? Let me show you." Funny guy. I don't.
Did you
I was
see
gonna say
that guy
he's gonna
ratio
tank.
him yesterday?
Nah, what he said.
It was him getting on his jet, and he was like getting ready for industry changing weekend.
Oh, is this
And
one? He's with Dwayne at the beginning, and they're looking at each other. It looks like a fucking suit ad.
yeah, prepare for an industry changing weekend. And somebody responded with, "Hey, are you ever going to acknowledge Black History Month?" And like I said, that got a lot of traction. A lot of people were either liking it or retweeting it. Yeah,
I forgot. I did see that. Not for nothing, that video was hilarious though. When I watched it, I was on the floor. I was like, "What is this?"
yeah.
He said, "Do me the TikTok fucking outfit video." I was like, "This is what part of the game is this, Phil?"
I don't know what's going on here.
It's sick. The homie Aaron Busby says, "Morning, y'all. This whole Rock and Cody situation is feeling very take that, if you know what I mean."
Bro, that poster for Elimination Chamber with just The Rock on it. Nobody that's working this show, just The Rock. And there was that report that people were upset about it. It's so funny, man.
It's like he's not supposed to, like, as Dwayne, you can't, like, you have to see how this looks. Like, regardless of everything, you come out and you do 35-minute promos on shows when people want to or promise matches and they just get canceled. You come and say you're going to be at the Elimination Chamber. They take every single person that's about to put their body on the line in the Elimination Chamber off of it. Forget them. Let's put Dwayne on there because he has a secret.
He shared his Instagram post for the Elimination Chamber graphic, and it was him and Travis Scott. No other wrestlers on there, just him and Travis Scott.
Dwayne is crazy. But my question is, Phil, he has to see this, right? He's self-aware, right? There's no way that he's just like, oh, whatever, like business as usual. You got to see that this looks crazy. You and Travis Scott, dog, that's insane.
Yeah, I don't know that he sees it. Yeah, all of this is funny.
I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he sees it either.
I still think it's hilarious that we had that whole report at one point about WWE being interested in using licensed music, and then we got the update on it that they didn't know how to get past the licensing agreements to use it long term. And then the first person we see on TV with licensed music on The Block is Hot is The Rock,
who doesn't work here, essentially. Like, he's not gonna be here.
who's a part-timer and doesn't need licensed music to help his presentation at all. He's the first person that gets it.
If anything, we don't want licensed music from you. We want to hear If You Smell What the Rock's Cooking, doom, 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 doom. Like, why are you even doing this?
Nah, bro, we getting a remix. We getting Wayne. Come on, bro. Yeah.
Dwayne is going into being the funniest wrestler in the world doing these crazy antics, dog. The poster killed me, though. I was like, all right, you guys. Like, and then I did read that report and I was like, I mean, I would be.
Listen, man, that that poster went up and I was like, nah, he's trying to tell y'all it's just me, Use. Day one, it's just me, Use.
What a wild contrast from last year's build-up, Phil. It was so bloodline focused, and the bloodline, Rock is like, don't keep them away from me. I'm doing something else. I'm with Cody over here doing business now. And it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, we'll get into the Cody stuff from last night and the build to Elimination Chamber because it's been quite an interesting week.
The homie Coffee Black says, for a company that utilizes culture to legitimize themselves as mainstream, not acknowledging Black History Month is some nasty work.
Yeah.
And just for as often as we talk about how present these people are online, Triple H saw that, or he sees that. Like, that wasn't the first thing he saw this month of people questioning him about Black History Month, and for him to not do something about it is interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
they always do something about it when there's outcry online, you know?
Yeah, he's been asked in person at a press conference about the presentation of Black wrestlers. This isn't something they're not aware of. They know people are saying these things about both the booking of their Black talent and them not doing anything for Black History Month. There's no way they don't know.
You in a group chat, I haven't been completely keeping up with everything SmackDown, but in a group chat, you said that Melo is now teaming up with The Miz.
Yeah, they're basically doing this tag team. I don't know if it's supposed to be taken seriously, but just the way that Melo's been booked recently is so strange. I just don't get it. I don't get what they're doing with him.
Me neither, because he's so talented and his presentation looks great. I feel like the crowd can get behind him. I mean, he's a heel, but like he gets heat. I don't really understand it.
I get it.
Grapple Geekery says Captain America 4 was great. The new Cap and Falcon are great. I absolutely loved seeing Carl Lumbly in this movie. I hate Seth Rollins got cut though.
Yeah, I mean, if part of the reason he got cut was because of Giancarlo Esposito. I mean, it's Giancarlo, bro. Like we.
Oh yeah. It's between Seth and Giancarlo. Yeah, I mean, it's not even a competition.
Of course, I would love to see Seth Rollins in this movie, but if that report is correct that it was because of the addition of Giancarlo, I get it. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I think the dynamic between Sam and Joaquin was great. Like you said, Carl Lumbly was great. We didn't get enough of Carl Lumbly, in my opinion. Harrison Ford was surprisingly really good in the movie as well. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
That bit on Harrison Ford eating the crackers at the award show, great bit. What a great guy. What a funny guy. The homie Tenruza says, couldn't care about Chamber from the Whack Fed company with their buddy Dwayne. Revolution will be a mockery off that overpriced house show. We'll make a mockery.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like my article is aging better and better by the day. I feel like there is more negative criticism of WWE currently than I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
Because they came out of last year hot.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still hot. They're still doing great business, but some of the talking points around WWE have been pretty negative in some circles. I think even around this build to WrestleMania, like what's going on with the Rumble? Like both Rumble winners, what are they doing right now? You got pay-per-view tonight. I feel like there's nothing booked around Jay. Charlotte's not on this card. I don't know. What are we doing?
It's crazy that there's been reports about the women's division and the women being upset and because they can't get on a fucking pay-per-view with their championships, and then it happens again. It keeps happening, and you're just like, well, it's even worse when the champions are on the show but they're not defending their belts. Like, it's a problem I have with AEW too. And like Daniel Garcia is like, why are you winning these matches when you have a championship? Why are you doing these things when you already have a championship? It's super frustrating.
Yeah.
The homie Grapple Geekery also says, speaking of Black History Month, I wonder if Phil has seen Hip Hop Family Tree, the comic series about the history of hip hop culture. I got it and I love the art.
I haven't seen that. I'm not up on it. Sounds cool though.
Yeah, it sounds really dope. I don't know anything about that, but I definitely want to check into that. Tenru says, also feel sorry, but as a punk guy for the longest time myself, to see what has become and selling out his morals a shame. That interview was sad. What interview?
Which interview? Was it one of those interviews he's done with the UK guys? I saw he spoke to friend of the show, Alex McCarthy, but I haven't seen the actual interview. I know he did another one with some other UK outlet like Daily Mail or something, but I haven't seen them, so I don't know.
You know, he just making a lot of money, Tenruz. It's all good. Let the guy get it. Let him get a check.
I mean, we knew what it was when he went back over there. I mean,
That's how I felt.
I don't know.
I knew what I knew it was gonna be like going back over there. Just going over there is already gonna be crazy. Everything's just a cherry on top, you know.
Yes.
Tenruz also says, now positives, you both are great. Highlight of the week. Thanks, Tenruz. I appreciate that, bro.
Thank you.
He also says, Gabe Kidd on AEW Gold. I'm a Gabe man, madman.
The madman, you know.
Yeah, Gabe Kidd is I'm really excited to see him be featured more in AEW, and I hope he is, but he's on his way for New Japan. He feels like one of those guys that wants to really make his mark and get shine in New Japan, you know?
Yeah.
It's Black History Month thing. Tyrone Kidd says, shout out to the E for their efforts on Black History Month. Eye roll emoji.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, honestly. That's why I'm just yeah, of course.
Me neither.
Leonard Aarons III also says, if I may go to 05 Kanye, WWE doesn't care about black people or anyone of color. Really? Running Vince hasn't changed this in any way.
Yeah. I think when people keep comparing it to Vince, though, it does look crazy when Vince at least had the foresight to push Bianca, for example, and some things that did happen under Vince, whether it be Mercedes and Bianca main eventing WrestleMania, Kofi Mania, some of the things that he did do with black talent. When you compare it to the current situation, it doesn't look great. And of course, Vince has his track record as well that is not great. But like I said, when you compare it, it looks kind of crazy.
When the bar is in hell with Vince McMahon and it's still way more than you're doing, that's what's crazy about it.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guy that said nigga on TV. The bar is in hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
To a white wrestler doing a hip hop gimmick. All righty. And then Leonard Aarons also says, Rock being on the poster again. They keep showing y'all it's one way and y'all keep wishing it's the other way.
That's what it is, bro. It's just me use.
The Rock deserves it, I think. I think he gets paid enough. He's an ambassador of the WWE. He should be on the front of the posters. I'd be so mad if I was a WWE superstar. But of course, it keeps kind of continue to play into I think it's going to get deeper as this merger continues to grow. It's so about the brand over anything. It's we know it and it always has been, but it feels like they're reiterating it even more of these wrestlers are great, but it's about the WWE and any of these guys could be slotted out somewhere else.
Yes.
Unfortunately. That's all of our super chats for now. Y'all are dope. Appreciate everybody for submitting. Y'all have been cool.
Yeah. We got some humper chats. This first day of May. Very bizarre week. I didn't mention this at the top of the show, but this Gene Hackman thing is very strange. I don't know how much you read about it. It's so strange. I mean, rest in peace to Gene Hackman. Legend. Has given us so many great memories, given us so many great moments, whether it be the Richard Donner Superman movies or Hoosiers or whatever else this guy has been attached to. Just a great actor, a legend. But just the news that he passed away and his wife also passed away and his dog, I was like, what is this? And so initially they thought maybe it was carbon monoxide poisoning. I saw yesterday where they had tested negative for it. So I don't know what this means. I hope this isn't something crazy where there was some foul play here, but rest in peace to him. Condolences to his family and friends. Also, rest in peace to Michelle Trachtenberg. That was a shocking story that morning to wake up to see that. Still very, very young. Didn't even make it to 40. That's way, way too young. I mean, regardless of her age, it's just a tragic loss regardless. Condolences to her family and friends as well.
Yeah, this week has been kind of crazy. The Gene Hackman thing, and like I was reading up on some of it, and they're saying they could potentially have been there for a couple of weeks. That they found the bodies feel mummified is what the word that they used. I was like, what?
Weird.
Yeah, just crazy, sickening type of stuff that would happen to a legend. This guy was 95 years old. Like, you don't want to like end your life that way. So rest in peace to him. Definitely legendary. Michelle Trachtenberg, that was super duper shocking. I think like the whole world was kind of shocked about that. I'd like vividly have memories of Harriet the Spy coming out and like how she was just all over the place and like kind of the legacy that she left as that type of actress. And so very unfortunate, sending love out to her family and her friends, because that's crazy.
Yeah. Also, rest in peace to legendary Roberta Flack. Tragic loss as well. Sorry, the Gene Hackman thing just threw me completely off because that story is so strange. But
it's crazy.
Rest in peace to Roberta Flack as well.
A black legend, black fixture, and households throughout, sampled, like just like you can't put into words the type of legacy that someone like Roberta Flack leaves. So, you know, rest in peace to her. Love out to her and her family too.
Yes. Let's get into some of these Humper chats. Got some from Van Twinblade. He said, won't be here for the whole show, guys. Got tickets to the musical version of Some Like It Hot, based on one of the first movies to tell the Haze Code board to shove it up their ass and power through with the last joke in the movie. He says, for those that don't know, the Haze Code was a purity law that censored movies and radio shows from 1934 to 1968. They had rules that made interracial and queer relationships illegal. They had a specific rule that cops and the military couldn't be shown in a godlight, and all criminals had to be shown to be punished because crime bad. We shouldn't be shocked that it's so racist, sexist, queerphobic, though, because it was started by the same assholes that brought us prohibition. History lesson over. Peace. Yeah, there was a lot there, Van Twinblade.
Appreciate that, Van Twinblade. I learned a couple things in there.
Yeah.
Y'all always keeping us informed. What great supporters we have.
From Tony P says the too petty a week goes to first the brave HUD worker who used AI art for a great good for once and made that "Long Live the King" video of Trump kissing.
That was crazy.
Mark's feet for 20 minutes. I have not seen that. That's crazy. On every TV at the HUD HQ before it finally got deleted. LOL. A true patriot. Thank you. Yeah, some of this political stuff this week was wild. That stuff with Zelensky in the White House was absolutely embarrassing to watch. I don't see how anybody could watch that and not feel uncomfortable. It's just very weird that this is where we are in the world, but
these are the people running our country.
Yeah, and at one point when he's sitting there and they're asking him why didn't he wear a suit, and they're joking on this guy sitting there, I'm like, what? Where are we? Like, why are these guys acting like they're like high school bullies? What is this?
Yeah. Speaking of AR art, Phil, were you as upset as the rest of the world was with Shrek 5 animations? People were so mad.
I didn't understand it. It was a very brief trailer for Shrek 5, and it looked like they just changed the character designs because all of these characters are older now, so they just look older. I don't understand why people
And it's
We're upset.
2025. New animations have developed since fucking 25 years ago or whenever the first Shrek came out. People were so mad. I was like, are they trying to do like a? Because remember, it happened with Sonic. The Sonic thing came out and people fucking hated it, and then there was the backlash online and they changed it. But like, this doesn't feel like that though.
Yeah, slippery slope. I think once you show people that they have the power to get online and complain
Right.
things and change
Yep.
things, people start misusing this ability way too much.
Right on the money.
It's more from Tony P. He says, second Petty of the Week winner is for Willow for her concerto with a smile. She was fed the hell up with the Marina and other 5D riders. It's surprising people were mad that Willow did it though, and saying that it is not in her character. If pushed, she does go to extremes. I don't understand that critique at all because we've seen this woman in street fights. We've seen her ramp up the violence when she is pushed to the edge. So I don't know. Are we watching the same show? I don't know.
We've seen Willow bleed on TV, Phil. Like, what do you mean this isn't in her wheelhouse? She's been in barbed wire, thumbtack, all kind of shit. What do you mean?
We've seen her pounce at somebody and cut a promo with a busted lip. We've seen multiple things where she has like, no, I don't get it. And I thought that this was a good way to play up tension around whether Copeland was going to hit Marina with the chair and to get to that point, and Willow comes out and gets her revenge. I thought it was handled very well. I thought that the Death Rider segments from this week and last week were actually pretty good.
Yeah, much better than what's being presented. But that added extra element made me like it even more because Willow needed to get her comeuppance on what happened to her a few weeks ago, and this totally something that she would do. I don't understand that people with the character thing. Like, yeah, what do you think, she's not going to get payback?
Yeah, and we don't want a Bailey situation where they were doing that thing where Bailey was afraid to use the Kindle stick because she's too nice. Please never do anything like that in wrestling again. That was awful.
Hated it.
More from Tony P. He said, speaking of surprises, you think Speedball or Josh is getting introduced by beating up Caster? If so, you can use Big Boom AJ to help set it up for them. I can also see Josh helping Mox to win, joining him. However, I don't think it's happening. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people wondering where this is leading with AEW going forward because Cope is taking out all of the Death Riders. So the assumption should be by the time we get to Revolution, Mox isn't going to have any of his underlings to help him keep the title. And usually in wrestling, when that happens, that means somebody else is going to show up to help him. That's how we got the introduction of Solo Sikoa, for example. I think the obvious pull here is Shota Umino.
Yeah, because I don't think Alexander really fits the story, and I think there's some other places you can slot him in there. Shota's been kind of telling the story, and he needs an extra element to that, and it would actually make a lot of sense. I'm thinking they're just going to use Christian, though, because he has that stupid contract, but that could just be me.
Oh, you're right.
I forgot. Take out all the Death Riders, you still got Christian.
I forgot about I keep forgetting this contract is a thing. But I say Shota Umino because you're in the midst of revamping his character. Revolution is March 9th. I believe Shota's New Japan Cup match is on the 12th. So it's possible that he could show up here first. I don't know.
Okay, that could be interesting. That could be a thing.
Yeah, speaking of which, we do have the New Japan Cup coming up. New Japan Cup starts on March 7th. Before that, we have the 34th anniversary. Sorry, 34th. What am I talking about? 53rd anniversary. Cutting my guys in New Japan short. 34th. Where that number came from. 53rd anniversary show is going to be on March 6th. At that show, the main event, Goto will be taking on Hiroshi Tanahashi. Should be a strong main event. What that means for this company, that's a perfect match, I think, for an anniversary show. there's a junior heavyweight match as well, as El Desperado will be taking on Francesco Akira. I believe LIJ is taking on House of Torture. Got War Dogs as well on the card, taking on House of Torture. Just 4 guys, not 5, just 4 guys will be taking on War Dogs as well. And I believe that LP will be defending the television championship in an open challenge.
Yeah, just the emotional story that's going to come with that main event, and Goto's going in as champion against Tanahashi, and how much years and stuff that encompasses. It's going to be big, going to be major. I love that Tanahashi is doing things like this, going out in his last year, getting title matches against people that he has long histories against. I just think it's a really fun way to play on the end of this career.
Yes. But as I said, New Japan Cup starts on March 7th. Got the bracket in front of me. For the first night, Yota Tsuji will be taking on Evil. That's play into the stuff coming out of New Beginnings. The winner of that match will be taking on David Finlay on March 11th, which kind of makes me feel like Evil is going to win based on the stuff they set up with Evil trying to out War Dogs out of Bullet Club. Makes the most sense for them to do that big matchup in the New Japan Cup.
March 11th, that's a good day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's going on that day?
A couple things happening.
Couple things.
I was given life, but yeah, a good month in March.
Also on the March 7th opening of the New Japan Cup, we're getting Yuya Uemura taking on Sonata, also playing into the stuff from last year of the G1, and Sonata turning on just 5 guys and joining the War Dogs. So I assume that's going to have a big play into this tournament. There are only 2 opening matches on 7th. Then we've got the 2 matches on the 8th, which will be Oyowa taking on Chase Owens, which I'm assuming that's just to get us to the March 11th match, which will probably be, I hope it will be, Oyowa taking on Zack Sabre Jr., because if we're not doing that match on March 11th, I don't know what we're doing.
It'll be crazy if Chase Owens goes over there, but, crazy if things have happened.
Yes. Gabe Kidd will be taking on Ren Narita as well on March 8th, and the winner of that will take on Tai Chi on March 12th. On the other side of the bracket, LP will be taking on Great Khan on March 9th. The winner of that match will face Shota Umino on March 12th. I believe, based on everything we've gotten up to this point, the stuff coming out of Wrestle Kingdom with Great Khan will probably win that match, and the match on March 12th will be Great Khan versus Shota Umino in a rematch.
That's the story.
Yes. We also, on March 9th, have Tetsuya Naito taking on Callum Newman. The winner of that will face Jeff Cobb on March 14th. Tomohiro Ishii will take on Drilla Maloney as well on March 9th. The winner of that match will face TJP March 14th. Bolton Oleg, not to be confused with Oleg Bolton. I don't know if you saw that exchange back and forth between Dave and Brian Alvarez where they were like, no, it's Bolton Oleg. That's what they say on commentary. Speaking of which, that clip of Dave on the phone. That's one of the funniest things I've seen.
When you said Dave, I immediately started thinking of him with that fucking phone.
Dave talking on a landline with this great webcam in front of him.
Dog, I'm crying watching.
Hilarious, man.
Every time it shoots back to him and he's just like looking anywhere in the world while he's on the phone, I'm like, what's going on?
Oh, man, what a legend. Dave Meltzer.
Love Meltzer. Go.
But yeah, Bolton Oleg will take on Bad Luck Fale on March 9th. The winner of that match will face Shingo Takagi on March 14th. Straight away, when I look at this bracket, my pick to win this is Yuya Uemura, based on his performance in the G1, based on the way that he had to abruptly forfeited spot in the G1 because of injury. I think he's going to have a big showing here. If he doesn't win it, I do think he's going to make it all the way to the finals.
Who would beat him though? Who else is set up?
I could see Finlay maybe. I could see Finlay. My pick to win is still Yuya though.
Yeah. It felt like Yuya just coming back recently, having like the momentum behind him. It feels like a good time because they've given the other guys kind of a chance to shine, and I feel like it's his time, you know?
Yes. A dark horse pick is maybe whatever they're doing with this rebrand with Shota. Maybe Shota could make it all the way to the finals and win. I don't really see that though. I think Shota's going to have a good showing here. I think this is going to be a big part of trying to repackage him. But I wouldn't say he should be the guy that wins that. That would be a very shrewd decision by New Japan.
Would be an interesting choice if they went with that. But I mean, people like him.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Sonata? Does he have a chance in this? No.
I think Sonata is gonna lose in the first round to Yuya.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Shingo. Maybe Shingo will make it all the way to the finals and win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I like Shingo because I want him to win.
Yeah, I think Shingo's a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
I at least on that side of the bracket, he's my pick to make it to the finals.
Yeah.
So I think right now, looking at this bracket, my finals is probably Yuya Uemura taking on Shingo Takagi in the finals.
That's how I match too. I mean, Shingo, he just anytime he's in anywhere, that's just his vibe at this point.
Yeah, but I like that they've done the work of building some of these guys ahead of time. Like Drilla Maloney just got that big upset win recently, so immediately you could see him picking up the win against Ishii in the first round and moving on to face TJP. And that's kind of why I think that Shingo could make it all the way to the finals, because I think the match set up here for, let's do the math, the March 15th show will probably be a rematch between Drilla and Shingo.
Oh, gotcha. Because Drilla went over in the last match, right?
Yes.
And a kind of a shocking win. Yeah, and then you get Shingo, because this is how New Japan tells stories. Is like they set matches up for the tournament, and it's like such a great way to kind of story tell, you know?
Yeah. See, Leonard is making the point that I thought, and this is the same reason I thought Finlay could win Leonard. Finlay winning the New Japan Cup and being the next big opponent for Goto makes a lot of sense. Coming out of G1, the way that Finlay beat him, and setting up this rematch now with him coming back as a New Japan Cup winner, I do think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. That's an element. Finlay's continuously getting heat and getting over. It definitely would add to him.
Yes. Sheldon, that is a good idea as well. The idea of Ishii winning the New Japan Cup to set up Goto versus Ishii down the line. I don't know that I believe currently they would go with Ishii to win the whole tournament. I do think that's a match we should see by the end of Goto's run as champion, though.
Yeah. But I don't think Ishii needs like a big win like this to get to it. They have so much history that they could tell the story in so many different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, tentatively, my pick is Yuya, but I could also see David Finlay picking up an upset here and making it all the way to the New Japan Cup finals and getting a rematch against Hiroki Goto.
I love that all of the choices are like the new generation. Like it's not like any predictable, it's going to be Okada, it's going to be blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's kind of an open field.
Yes. We've got some more Humper chats. See, from Tony P, he says, I do think Jeremy had a good logical idea for Mox /Cope Perry will return to help Mox beat Cope. The layers of the story that can be made from Mox getting an AEW pillar to help the elite stuff, the old guy critiques, etc. If they play it right, that is. No, I do think that's a good story element to play off of Jack coming back to help him win. I think Jack fits a lot better with the Death Riders than he did with the Elite. Agreed. I think that there's so much that they could do there. There's an interesting story they could tell there. But like you said, the execution is very important.
Yeah, I think with the aesthetics of what Jack was doing, prior to whatever he's doing now, fits the Death Riders way more. It was kind of a interesting when he was with the Elite and they would be in their suits and doing their whole thing, and then he'd come in with the darkness and he blacked out his belt. It was like, okay, I see what you're trying to tell, but it doesn't really make sense. That's actually a pretty good idea, though. Jack Perry coming and being the one to help with the Death Riders. He has a lot of grievances he could air on AEW fans, AEW management, kind of the same things that the Death Riders have been talking about. I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, and we've been saying for the longest, he needs to develop this character. It needs to evolve. So I think joining the Death Riders would be a good shot for him.
It's pretty good.
Tony P also says, Dynamite was fun and it's getting me hyped for Revolution. If things go right for me this month and they set up Dynasty right, I may go to it. Also, I am curious about the new thing they are saying they're about to do with Deanna now. I hope she is about to get a good story now. Yeah, I kind of felt the way about Deanna losing on Wednesday, man. Like, I get why Harley's hot. I get why you have to give Harley the win, but I just keep wondering, like, what are they doing with Deanna, man? Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, people on the Denise stream, the watch along stream, thought I was tripping because I didn't like it. I'm like, that's Deanna though, and they don't really, they're not hearing me though, Phil. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you guys don't understand though. Like, Deanna could be champion right fucking now. Like she holds so much weight as a wrestler. I just was like, I understand what they're doing to Harley, and Harley should be getting these wins. I don't know if Deanna should have been the one though.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't just me because I was sitting watching it like, I don't know, man.
She holds a special place in my heart for some reason. I think she still holds a lot of cachet in what she did as champion previously and still could do that.
Good. I'm glad I wasn't alone here because I sure was looking at it Wednesday like, man, why'd they have to put her over Deanna though? Like, what's going on?
When they announced the match, I was like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like how this looks. So when it happened, I was like, oh, I really don't like how this looks. But that wasn't at all the most egregious finish. Everybody knows how angry I was at a Dynamite finish this week. That damn tag match. They did the distraction roll-up finish. Oh, my blood was boiling.
Oh, you're talking about the Outriders thing?
Yeah, the Hurt Syndicate comes out with just their theme. They get distracted and get pinned. Oh, my God, my blood was boiling. It's like, that's the laziest fucking booking ever. Do not, you guys. Please do not. That's so fucking lazy.
So I feel like this is leading to Outrunners getting completely demolished by Hurt Syndicate. This couldn't be going any other direction. But I've also seen people say, well, maybe the Murder Machine is going to help them, and that's how they're going to win the titles, which I was like, please don't do that.
This is why you can't let anybody book. This is why your booking idea should stay in your book, because that's a horrible idea. Outrunners are not going to be the ones to beat Hurt Syndicate. I think the people primed the most right now are probably the Hounds. That's not their name. The Hounds of Hell. What's the damn name? What's Brody and Buddy's name?
Oh, the Hounds of Hell.
Hounds of Hell. I was like, well, it's not the Hounds of Justice. Ain't that the Shield? But yeah, I think those guys are the ones set up Hurt Syndicate. Definitely not the Outrunners though. That's wild.
Oh. Yeah, pretty fun episode of Dynamite.
I liked it.
I'll get into more of the stuff that I enjoyed
in
a few. How many more Humper chats do we have? We've got a few more. Tony P says Triple H made up for that shit show he put on last week with that Raw. It wasn't great, but it was good. However, I feel like too much of Dom did ruin the awesome match for me. The foot rope spot was the icing on my annoying cake. It just took me fully out. I have been avoiding saying this for some time. Dominic Mysterio is the most overrated wrestler in the world. Like, it's getting to the point that I hate it. Like, the way people talk about Dom, it is getting extremely annoying. Him being number one on the top 30 wrestlers under 30 is egregious.
I just thought about it for 1 minute straight, and he's number one. I can't think of anybody that's been put onto more pedestals. That the dude gets heat and he does things, but y'all are talking like he's the second coming, and like he's not.
Yeah, some of the talk around him is egregious. I think that he plays his role well, but
I'm with you.
Some of this is too much. Like, I saw a take earlier where they're pushing Logan Paul like he's this monster heel. Meanwhile, they have Dom right there. I'm like, what?
Now, when that list was it last year that list came out that they put him over Max, and everybody's like, he is better than Max, and I was all, you guys, we got.
Yeah, that was the ESPN top 30 under 30, and he was number one. And I was like, over Maxwell Jacob Freeman, over Kyle Fletcher, over Tony Storm, over Mariah May, over Rhea Ripley. What? Where are we?
He's been involved in like 2 stories his whole WWE career. Like, he's still attached to his dad, and like most of the shit he's done for the last year has been on Liv shit. So it's like, what, you guys? And I feel like, honestly, he does get heat, but now it's just a WWE bit of like, Dom talks and we boo. It doesn't matter what he's saying or what he's doing. It's just like, that's what your thing is now. And like, it is heat, but it's a different kind of heat.
Yeah, I saw this tweet where someone was saying that he's gotten to the point where he's improved. At one point, we thought Hook was going to be it, and he's better than everything. He's better at everything than Hook. And I was like, I don't agree. What? What? what is going on?
Because still, the wrestling is still not really. I still watch Dom matches, and I'm like, oh God, what's happening in here?
He's working because he works as a character, and he comes out, and people don't let him get a word in. They boo, but I don't think that makes him a great promo. I just think that he generates heat. People enjoy booing him, and that works with his character. I think he's been in some stories that have really utilized him well as a character, but let's not go overboard, guys. Let's relax.
They putting way too much sauce on it. Like, yeah, he is, but like the next guy over some people in the company, I think it's crazy, you know?
Yeah, I avoided getting on here talking about that top 30 under 30 list because I know some of the people that put that together, and I avoided having a real conversation, but something in my brain broke when I saw that, where I was like, that doesn't go there. Why is he at the top? What do you mean? Like, it was like I used to date a girl from overseas, and she put Nutella on pancakes, and when I first saw it, I was like, but that doesn't go there. That goes over here. That doesn't go there. And it's the same thing with this. I was like, why is Dom at the top of this? Why is he there? No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Why is he there? Take him out of there. Get him out. What are you doing?
That makes sense. Yeah, I think they just been putting too much sauce on him a lot of the time. I think he can get there. There's a lot of things that he could do, but saying it right now is crazy. I'm glad people have turned the corner on Logan Paul too and seen that he's a fraud, because he's definitely a fraud. They were saying he's the greatest fucking wrestler of all time and shit. And I was you guys, he gets to plan his matches for 4 months. He should be that fucking good. It's just been so weird, a lot of the talk around it.
Yeah, look, I see people in the chat. I like Nutella as much as the next guy, but when you've been conditioned, I like Nutella as much as the next guy, but when you've conditioned your entire life to put syrup on pancakes, no, syrup goes on pancakes, not Nutella. What are we doing?
Now, that's one of those, like, you're out of syrup and you're like, okay, I got some Nutella or some peanut butter. Maybe I'll slide it on there. But, like, that's not my first choice. It's probably my 6th choice, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of list, shout out to the homie SP3. People were... I think he helped himself by making Becky number 1, because that's like pretty undeniable across the board. But the rest of the list, people were not too happy about. I think there was a couple of making lists. As someone who makes lists, I wouldn't have taken this assignment, but like there's a couple of glaring omissions, I think.
Yeah, making lists is tough.
It's so tough.
There's always going to be somebody that has a problem with it. I was in I was in the Ring the Bells Discord that morning when that list dropped, and watching women's wrestling fans react to it was very funny because they were like, "What is this? How can you do this? Where's Nikki Bella? Where's Mickie James? Like, what is going on here?" Mm-hmm. And so, my one criticism of it is that I think the Divas era was very underrepresented on that list.
Yes,
I think it's fair to say that was one of the worst creative periods for women's wrestling in WWE. But I think that has been stated so much that we don't give the pioneers from that era the credit they deserve. And AJ Lee is absolutely a pioneer. There are like 3 wrestlers on the roster today trying to be AJ Lee. And so
specifically
when you talk about influence and impact, I don't know how you can't consider her one of the top 10 WWE wrestlers.
And there's if you ask like half of the roster now who they want to wrestle, they're all like AJ Lee. I wish AJ Lee would come back.
Yes. And same thing with Mickie James. When you talk about a wrestler,
I'm like, all right, Mickie is great.
That was successful in the Attitude Era, also there for the Divas era, came back for a while after the Women's Revolution, and also had a run. The first TNA knockout to be in the Royal Rumble. Nah, she belonged in the top 10.
Legacy, dude. Like Mickie James has done so much for WWE women's wrestling, for women's wrestling in general. I think just where she stands and what she did, she deserves to be on here. But I think she falls into that list too of like the times people are upset about some of her booking choices, so that they think that encompasses her whole run, and that's just not how it is. Like there are some awful things that they did, but like she did so much and had so many great matches and moments that she deserves to be a top 10 of all time, I think.
Yeah, one of the greatest WrestleMania feuds featuring women of all time with Trish Stratus.
Yes.
A bunch of the other stuff she's linked with. Asuka just put over how much she loved her match with Mickie James recently on Twitter. Mickey's a legend. I think she belonged in the top 10 as well. And again, that's when we're talking about influence and impact on women's wrestling. Mickey's in that conversation. I know some people are not going to like people saying they wanted to see Nikki Bella up there. But again, if we're talking about influence and impact, she had a massive impact on women's wrestling. She had a massive impact on bringing women to the product and getting women to watch WWE's product. That cannot be understated here. And I think a lot of times people don't give Nikki her credit for what she did for women's wrestling.
I think if we're talking conversion of these people don't watch this and they now watch this because of this person, Nikki Bella might be the most influential person in, like, I hear so many people say Total Divas, Total Bellas, that's the reason why I'm here. And she was the face of that shit. Like when she was the champion, people were tuning in to watch her because of this reality show. Like her influence is immeasurable. Like she did so much for the business. And that's another one that's like, you cannot like her wrestling or whatever. There could be moments and stuff, but like her influence and impact, gigantic.
Yeah, I know so many women that will say Total Bellas or Total Divas is what got them watching wrestling. And I'm sure, again, wrestling fans are wrestling fans. Some people are going to turn their nose up at that. But it's just the truth. They help to bring a different generation of fans to the product.
Yep. And that's what these shows are supposed to do. That's what people, when people are trying to go beyond what wrestling business is and have reality shows and be on talk shows, and she's done Dancing with the Stars and do all these things, that's what it's supposed to do. She, like, you know, it's all, these are lists. Of course, I make the things, and I'm like, leave me alone, you guys. But, you know, this is why I wouldn't do a top 10.
Yeah.
Lists are starting to become hard. Like, when people say top 5 across any genre, Phil, it's hard for, like, who's your top 5 favorite rappers? You know how many fucking rappers there are? Who's your top 5 favorite wrestlers? You know how many wrestlers there are? I can't pick just 5 at this point.
Yeah. And I mean, when you say the top 10 of all time, that's encompassing a lot of things. You got to fit in the golden era. You got to fit in the current era. You got to fit in the attitude era. You got to try and represent all of these eras of WWE. It's
Mae
a lot.
Young and Wendy Richter and fucking all the, you gotta, it's so many eras
It's tough.
that it's been through.
I mean, like getting Alundra in there at 10, I think Alundra, of course, belonged there. But I mean, when you really think about some things, it's some wrestlers that you can make a very strong argument that should have been in the top 10 or higher. I think you can make an argument that Sasha should have been higher, for example. Obviously, belong in the top 5. To me, I think you've got about right when Trish is in the top 3. Trish belongs in the top 3 for like what she represented for that era, what she still represents for women's wrestling with WWE. Absolutely top 3. But to me, I would personally rank Sasha above Lita. And I know what Lita represents for women's wrestling as well, just like we said with AJ and how that changed the presentation for women. Lita absolutely changed how women came on our screens and looked. It was okay to come out with the tattoos and have a different aesthetic. You didn't have to come out and want to look like a girly girl. You could come out and be like a tomboy and be whatever you wanted to be. She completely changed that.
Yeah, I think that with Trish is like, her influence is more like company based, because like what they did with her is kind of like the blueprint of what they do in the business now, like beyond like the athletes. I mean, I guess you could include all of that. Like she came from like being like a fitness model type deal, and then she was a valet, and then they trained her to become a great, and that's their cup of tea. So I understand why she would be so high, because she has a heavy influence. I would have put Mercedes number 1. That's why I don't make lists, and people would have been so mad at me, but that's just what it is. I think Becky being there is, like I said, it's pretty undeniable. Like she is bigger than, like there was a time when in the company she was the biggest star, man or woman, and they just don't do that with women's wrestlers. She just like changed the whole trajectory. But shout out to the SP3, man. It's a hard thing to make a top 10 list encompassing the whole career and putting it out there, because people are awful.
Yeah, that's another thing I thought based on some of the reaction to this, because I did see some people say, well, why is Becky number 1? I think that we've gotten far enough from 2018 that people kind of have Becky fucked up a little bit. I think some of the recency bias is a little crazy, because there is no woman in the history of that company that had the run that she had on top. She was arguably the face of the company in 2018. There was nobody more over than Becky Lynch in 2018, early 2019.
Dog, I went to WrestleMania. I was preparing to go watch Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey main event WrestleMania, the last match. Like that doesn't, like, you know what I mean? Like people can't, and Ronda played a big role, but it was supposed to be one-on-one because of the role that Becky played. You know what I mean? Like she just like changed everything. And then there was a time where she was being presented as number 1. Like as far as WWE, if we're talking about legacy and numbers and monies and things, you can't put anybody over Becky.
No, I don't think you can. I've seen some people say it should be Charlotte. I don't think you could put Charlotte over Becky, because I don't think Charlotte has ever had the peak that Becky had on top. And when we talk about like ability, talkers, I don't think there's anybody on that list that's a better promo than Becky Lynch.
No, I don't think so either. Nope. Yeah, I feel like most of the WWE women's wrestler stats, Becky's number 1 on all of them. Like if you make like go through, it's like Becky's the best. Like it's just hard to deny, honestly.
Yes. I mean, personally, I think out of all 4 of the horsewomen, Mercedes is probably the better wrestler.
Yes.
But that's my personal opinion. Like I said, to me, I would have put Mercedes at least at 4, but she was at 5.
Who was 2?
That big of a difference.
Charlotte was 2?
Charlotte. So number 1 was Becky Lynch. Charlotte Flair was number 2. Trish Stratus was number 3. Lita was 4. Mercedes was number 5.
Okay. That's a pretty good top 10. I don't know if I would put Lita. I love Lita. I don't know if I would have put her number 4.
I
think
wouldn't
she could be on this list. I probably would swap her out with Alundra Blaze and have her as 10. I don't even know why Alundra Blaze is on the list, honestly. She threw their belt in the trash. Like, if we're talking about just WWE, she did a lot of cool things, but she did way more cool things out of WWE.
But I mean, she was that era of women's wrestling for them. She carried that division.
In a trash can.
I know, but still, she carried that division, man. There was no women's division in that era without Alundra Blaze.
Yeah,
like,
no.
They were bringing in wrestlers to wrestle her because that was it. They had to bring people to get up to her level of competition.
Yeah. No, and it wasn't just in WWF. Phil. Like in WCW, it was the same shit. They were bringing in wrestlers just for her. They're like, oh, we need good wrestlers to wrestle this person. Like she like if we're talking wrestling history, I think she's top 5 for what she represented. So,
yes, Bragav is making a good point. Bragav says that SP3's reasoning was that she made Vince bring back the women's championship after many years of not having one. Absolutely. That's why she was the women's division in that era. There would have been, no belt, and there would have been no competition at that time if there was no Alundra Blaze. And the amount of women that she's influenced. I mean, the number 1 wrestler on this list was absolutely influenced by Alundra Blaze.
Number 2 also. Probably number 3 too. I'm sure they had her watching. I'm sure they had Trish watching her tapes to prepare and train. So she probably influenced everybody post her. Yeah. I would think so.
Yes.
So I get it.
I mean, a lot of lists I don't disagree with, but I just felt the Divas era was kind of underrepresented here. Very funny that I'm the guy on here in defense of Divas era wrestlers on this list, but as somebody that wrote about women's wrestling for a long time, I do think that sometimes people judge some of the women from that era unfairly because it's not their fault that the company was pushing women's wrestling the way they did at that point, because there were very talented women at that time that unfortunately came up in the wrong era. I think about all the time, if Beth Phoenix came up in a different era, we'd have different conversations about Beth.
We'd be talking about Beth on this list if she came up in a different era. If Jazz came up in a different era, if Jacqueline came up in a different era, there's a bunch of women's wrestlers that like didn't even have opponents to wrestle. You know what I mean? Sherry Martel. There's a bunch of stuff that's like women were in the business for a long time, but a lot of men promoters didn't think of them as wrestlers, or they didn't have opponents for them to wrestle, and so they were just like kind of existing and doing this thing. Different eras could have meant different things. So, but I think like he's correct for like the four horsewomen for this generation is. I understand why you would have them so high, but you got to think of the rest of them.
Yeah, I agree. There are some snubs here, but
it's only 10.
One man's opinion. It's fine. Mm-hmm. It is what it is.
Exactly. And if you think different, like I always say, make your own damn list, dude. Don't be yelling at SP3 for 2 years. Do your own. Fuckers.
Yeah, I'm sure he was in his mentions for the last few days fighting for his life.
Do not recommend to anybody. 0 out of 10 would recommend fighting with people over an opinion.
Yeah. I don't recommend Twitter, so there's that.
That's a fact.
Once I put that list out, I would have shut my Twitter down. Like, yeah, you're not gonna get me.
Turn all this off. Turn the TV off after this shit, because
yeah,
definitely not gonna get me. But they'll find you though, Phil. Like I did that before, and they're like, "Oh yeah, what about your mom's Facebook?" I'm like, "Dog, what are you doing over here?"
What?
Yo, they'll find you. We hate your son. My mom be saying that sometimes. She's like, I be wanting to yell at these people sometimes. I'm like, Mia, do not be on the internet yelling at people.
No.
Not a good look.
Yo, I've seen wrestlers say that too, where their parents see things and they be like, nah, that's my kid. What are you talking about? Like,
yo, like, do not be fighting on the internet, Mom, please. Jeez Louise.
We're going to get into some more topics in a few. But before that, I'm going to hit you guys with a word from our sponsors.
fix.
BetOnline.ag is the official betting partner of Fightful. 100% of the time when you get the odds from Fightful, they are coming from BetOnline.ag. And it's not just wrestling, it's not just MMA and boxing. It's football, it's basketball, baseball, hockey. They have the earliest lines. You can bet big with the high limits and rebet functionality. They have the fastest payouts with winnings paid in minutes and the industry's best bonuses on every qualifying deposit. They've been trusted for 25 plus years. It's not some fly-by-night company. BetOnline AG has been there. They've done that. In addition, they're trusted by millions. They've got VIP rewards programs and a ton of popular games. BetOnline.ag, that's where I go to make my bets. That's where I suggest you go to, my friends. Please just bet what you can and bet responsibly.
As always, please bet what you can, bet responsibly. But for your sports betting needs, including pro wrestling, betonline.ag is the place to go. Believe that you can bet on tonight's pay-per-view. They already have their odds up for Elimination Chamber. I don't think that the men's is really favorable to bet on because I think we all pretty much know who's going to win this. But, you know, I could be wrong. Right? Might be somebody up left field. It can make you a few dollars off of that.
Did anything from this week change that who you think was winning? Like, did anything they presented this week be like, okay?
It changed what I thought from last week.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going in a certain direction, but now watching the last week of programming, I see where we're going. Which we'll get into Elimination Chamber in a sec. But first, every time we think this CM Punk, Tony Khan, AEW soap opera is done, another wrinkle pops up in this. This week we got the latest and the culmination of this dispute with Ryan Nemeth. Ryan Nemeth has had a complaint with the company since, I believe, last year. That was when that report for Fightful Select came out that he had a complaint with the legal department about their handling of his situation. And this week he formally filed a lawsuit. I was not expecting the first person to name CM Punk in a lawsuit after his time with AEW to be Ryan Nemeth, but here we are.
Yeah, I wasn't. I've heard some rumblings and some things, and you were like, maybe this could be a thing. I understand the grievances and why people are upset, but then you like see it presented and you start reading on it, Phil, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, so Ryan Nemeth filed a lawsuit with Los Angeles Superior Court this week against AEW, Tony Khan, and CM Punk. Very interesting that CM Punk is in the lawsuit against AEW and Tony Khan. The lawsuit alleges assault, breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith, and fair dealings, and intentional interference in prospective advantage. The assault part is interesting because I already knew he had an issue with his bookings.
Yes.
I'm still not firm on does he have a real case here because from my understanding, he probably was on one of those tier contracts where he was getting paid per appearance. I don't think he was signed under a full AEW contract. So I'm not sure what's in his contract, what is guaranteed, if anything. So I'm not sure how much of a case here. I believe, if I read correctly, let me just double check. He is seeking compensation and punitive damages for this.
The issue is he's talking about wrestling booking. You can't put any concrete evidence that you were going to be booked a certain way and that changed. Like, you can't be like, hey, show me the books where it says I was going to get a push, blah, blah, blah. So you're just like assuming, essentially, right?
Yes. Now, I thought all of these things about, okay, well, how far does this case extend? Because I don't know what's in his contract. And then when you bring assault into this, it's tricky. And then I actually read like the bullet points from this lawsuit, and I was like, oh, I don't know, Ryan. Because I do think that Ryan was done wrong here. Based on his complaint from last year, I do think that he was wronged. And I do think he can make a case that there were some situations here where this wasn't handled correctly. Saying that there was a situation that wasn't handled correctly with you and then trying to turn it into you being blackballed and the rest of this, I don't know about that, especially when you're currently on TNA, you're currently working in wrestling. I don't know how you can say that.
At one point, he was in the crowd for his brother at the New Japan show, and the cameras showing him and acknowledging him. I'm like, I don't think this is being blackball worked.
He's on TV. He's working TNA shows, so I don't know. And what would really be the benefit for Tony and AEW to make sure you don't work somewhere else? I mean, it seems like we just have no interest in booking you. I don't think that has anything to do with him working somewhere else.
No, I don't think they were like, we don't want to book Ryan Nemeth, so nobody fucking book Ryan Nemeth. Here's an email that's sent out for that. I think it's just like circumstances.
Yeah. So
I think I like Ryan Nemeth. And like most wrestlers should do, like, I think he thinks highly of himself and think like, I could have done a lot more. I could have, like, if giving the opportunity presented, I would have did this. But like, that's just how the cards lay. Like, thinking about what AEW is and thinking about what Ryan Nemeth is, like, where did you?
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying you're on a tiered contract. It's not like he had that many appearances on AEW Dynamite and Collision. He probably had like 3 or 4 that I can think of off the top of my head. But other than that, he was a fixture on AEW Dark.
With CM Punk.
Yeah. Other than that, he was a fixture on AEW Dark, and so it's like, well, how far did you think this was gonna go? So
right.
I have this in front of me, so I have to read this because the opening of this, I was like, wait a minute. Who put this together? Who did this? Maybe.
Who did this?
The opening bullet point for this is Ryan Nemeth is a successful actor, comedian, and stuntman. Nemeth also followed his older brother Nick's career and has established himself.
So lucky I can't pause the podcast because I almost paused after the first 2 words you said. Sorry, continue, Phil. It's already starting off crazy.
This is serious business, Righteous Reg. This is a very serious lawsuit.
Okay, hold on. Start from the beginning again.
Ryan Nemeth is a successful actor, comedian, and stuntman. Nemeth also followed his older brother Nick's career and has established himself as a star performer on the professional wrestling circuit. Nemeth was under a contract with AEW. AEW is owned by Shahid and Tony Khan. Shahid Khan is the owner of the NFL franchise, the Jacksonville Jaguars. When his son, Tony, managed to alienate most everyone within the Jaguars organization,
what does this
including star players, Tony was moved to a leadership role in Khan's family-owned Fulham football club. Tony ended up mismanaging Fulham, leading to multiple lawsuits against the club. Since he was a child, Tony loved professional wrestling and had an obsession with certain wrestlers. The Khan family formed AEW to provide Tony something to do safely away from the family's other ventures. Tony served as chief executive officer for AEW. When I read that first blurb, I was like, what's going on here? Because
what's going on here?
Again, I think he has a point in saying that he was mistreated here and that this situation was mishandled. But when you start this lawsuit with all of this, where are we going with this? It gets better. Gets even better than that. He goes on to say, Phil Brooks was another wrestler under contract with AEW, a member of AEW's management team. Stop there. We've seen before that Punk may or may not have had 2 contracts where he was an executive for the company. And so alleging that he's a part of the management team is interesting, but I still don't know how much he did in management. I don't know how much power he had. And so, slippery slope there in itself. He says, Tony had a deep fascination for Brooks. Brooks undertook a campaign to terrorize and intimidate plaintiffs, including physical assault. AEW and Tony Khan did nothing to protect Ryan Nemeth and other wrestling performers from despicable conduct on the part of Brooks. AEW turned a blind eye to Brooks' conduct because of Tony's deep admiration for Brooks and because he was their most popular wrestling performer. At Brooks and Tony's insistence, AEW and Tony have undertaken an effort to blackball Nemeth so we can never get, again, work in a wrestling business. Again, you're working.
You're working, dog.
You're in TNA. So I don't know that you could classify this as a blackballing. But then when you add all of this extra stuff here, like Tony has this admiration for him, when you connect some dots here, I could see why people would think, all right, Tony was upset with the way things shook with Punk. And some people involved with this may or may not be punished. That was the talking point around Jack Perry for a long time because he wasn't on TV for months, even after Punk was gone. But how do you prove that?
Exactly. It's wrestling.
And so there's those two things that you start this lawsuit with. It's like, okay, is this a serious lawsuit or what's happening here? He has several bits here. The assault thing is interesting because he says here at one point, in early 2023, Brooke assaulted and battered two fellow members known by stage names Matt and Nick Jackson. Brooke is known to have uncontrollable temper and often lashed out in violent tirades against others. Thus, defendants were on notice regarding Brooke's violent proclivities. First thing I thought here, that's wrong. The incident with him and the Bucks didn't happen in 2023. Didn't it happen in 2022?
2022, yep.
I believe it was September 2022.
It was all out, yeah.
Yeah, so that's wrong. That's first off. So I was like, okay. So it gets better. We're still going in this. Rather than removing Brooks from AEW's roster of wrestlers, Tony Khan made the decision to merely suspend Brooks for a few months. Brooks is one of AEW's most popular wrestlers, and Khan did not feel Brooks could be removed without substantial loss in profit to AEW. Further, Khan has a very deep personal affinity for Brooks. Khan made a conscious decision to keep Brooks as a part of AEW, although he knew that Brooks is prone to lashing out in violence episodes to injure others. Again, there's so much here that you can come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
But how do you prove that in a court of law? If it's just he said, she said that, all right, he only kept Punk because he really likes the guy. I don't know that you can prove that without a shadow of a doubt. Like, how do you prove that? Just like when you're saying you were punished because Punk didn't like you. Mm-hmm. How do you prove that that's why they stopped booking you? You could probably come to that conclusion, sure, but how do you really have a case that you can prove that?
And it's wrestling, Phil. You're like, oh, I was assaulted. In the ring, they're going to be like, well, it's wrestling. I was wrestling. I don't like you. There's nothing that's concrete here, I feel. Like, nothing he said has been like, yeah, that's true. Because, like, again, you can't say the booking. You can't, like, none of these are guaranteed things. Like, this is all just like you wishing and you hoping, or you even trying to put these things together, but none of it is guaranteed.
Yes. He says here as well, during his suspension for unknown reasons, Brooks made it known that he despised Nemeth. Nemeth did nothing to Brooks whatsoever, but Brooks made it well known that he was very angry with Nemeth. Brooks has a notorious history of taking violent action against others for no reason.
Why do they keep saying this, though? They like keep reading. They're like, this guy's violent. I'm like, is he? Because you're trying to build the case based off of things we already know about him publicly, that he got into an altercation with the Bucks, and he got into an altercation with Jack Perry. So I think he's trying to build his case around, all right, it's public knowledge that those two things happen. But at the same time, I don't know that you can then build that around, okay, this guy has a proclivity to be violent. Right. Those are two incidents. I
I don't have a dictionary in front of me.
Those are two related incidents. It's not like this.
Exactly. These are not isolated incidents. So I don't know. I don't have a dictionary in front of me. I'm not a law student, so I can't tell you how many incidents can be defined as a proclivity. Like I don't know. And it's just the way this is worded. It's just worded in such worded in such an unserious way that I don't know how you could take this lawsuit in there and it's really taken seriously. And again, I have to continue to stress that I do think that he was mistreated. I do think that he probably came in and people were like, "Oh, I know what side you're on. Get out of here. Get lost. I don't want you over here." Mm-hmm. Especially once the stuff happened with Collision. So we get to the stuff here where he breaks down how he contacted executives. And that's really where we got in the complaint last year that Fightful Select reported on. Mm-hmm. That he did report a lot of the handling of this to AEW's law department. And they didn't do anything to help him. He had, the emails back and forth. He had his receipts that he did reach out and he did follow the correct channels, and nothing was done to alleviate the situation. And that's where I say that it was mishandled, because once you have a paper trail to say that, hey, I went to the office and I talked to people about there being an issue here and nothing was done about it, that's where I think, you can argue that. But then when you get into what may or may not happen and why you may or may not have been booked,
right?
I don't know, though. I don't know how much you can prove there. And I don't know that he's even attempting to prove any of these things. I think he's trying to get it in a lawsuit to go, hey, now it's public knowledge. Because the thing I was looking for before I even opened this article about it was, okay, has this been served to anybody? Is this official? The lawsuit has been filed, but how far have we gotten with this?
Right.
Because it kind of feels like, let's get this in a court and let's make it loud enough where Tony just settles to make this go away.
Yeah. Right. Right.
This doesn't feel like anything that's going to actually turn into a serious lawsuit or court appearances from any of these people. It feels like somebody's going to settle and make this go away.
This, I have some questions because some of the lingo in the lawsuit sounds like he's saying he lost out on money or bookings. That's where I really question what your deal was, what the deal was that you had in place. Cause you get paid still though, right? I don't know. If they were saying you're an AEW wrestler and you can't wrestle anywhere else, they wouldn't say that. Then I would understand where he's coming from. But I'm like, how did you lose out? There are some things that probably were frustrating for him, and he's probably like, I did all this for you guys and you guys haven't did shit for me. But that's also just what the business is,
Yeah, but that's why I said I have to understand what his contract is to have an opinion of that, because if you are on a per appearance contract, did you lose out on any money you were supposed to get if you just didn't get appearances? What you get paid is based on you getting appearances. Now, if you're making an argument that they intentionally stopped giving me bookings because this guy didn't like me, you may or may not have a case, but again, how can you prove that?
Can't prove it though. Yeah.
So just to get through the remainder of this, he gets into the situation in April where he says he contacted the executives and he says he was worried that Brooks would come back to the wrestling circuit following his suspension and assault Nemeth. On June 21st, following Brooks' return to the wrestling circuit, he assaulted Nemeth in male talent locker room. In a menacing manner, Brooks shouted at Nemeth, "Do we have a fucking problem? Do we need to step outside and handle this like men?" Nemeth was concerned by Brooks and did everything he could in order to de-escalate the situation. The next day, Nemeth was contacted by Tony Schiavone and other executives from AEW to explain what happened. Nemeth calmly and factually explained that he was attacked by Brooks in the locker room. If he was legitimately assaulted here, like I said, with both the Buck situation and the Jack situation. Punk is wrong. I don't know what else you want.
Sound like it. What he sounded like he just said a couple things to him, and Ryan was like, "Nah, I'm chill."
It sounds like he tried to press him.
Yeah.
So if he was legitimately assaulted here, Punk was wrong. But I don't know what you expect AEW to do further at this point when they fired him. He no longer works there. He's gone. It's not like he left of his own accord. He was fired for all of the stuff that you're saying here that he may or may not have done to you that he did to someone else.
Right. So what? It's kind of like, what do you want, Ryan Nemeth? Like, what do you? Because Punk's already gone. Do you want him to pay you for this shit? Like, I'm trying to understand.
So he says after the assault, nothing happened to Brooks as far as punishment. It is well known in the wrestling industry that benching a wrestler is a form of punishment. That is, the wrestling performer is not scheduled.
You're not benched though. Oh my God.
So that is, the wrestling performer is not scheduled for a match and thus is not paid. Benching a wrestler is customary manner of punishing a wrestler. Following the incident with Brooks, Nemeth greatly feared being benched by AEW. Nemeth spoke with AEW's in-house counsel and attorneys from Latham and Watkins, outside counsel for AEW. All of the attorneys promised that Nemeth would not be benched. You're talking to the lawyers though. Like, how can you get justification from the legal team that AEW is going to continue to book you for appearances? How can they guarantee you that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's why I'm saying there's so much here that I don't know, man. I think
you're like, hey, are they going to put me on TV? HR don't fucking know. All they are doing with HR, you know what I mean? If you're talking to the higher ups and you're like, well, are they going to stop booking me? They don't know.
But see, that's the other part here. He specifically says he spoke to AEW's legal counsel and their outside counsel. If you spoke to HR and you put in a complaint, that's different. You spoke to legal though. Mm-hmm. I do think that somebody fell asleep at the wheel here and this was mishandled. It should have been handled better. But I don't know what guarantee legal can give you that you'll be continued to book. I don't know. So he says because he was not booked, his income stream from AEW dried up. More importantly, his popularity and marketability faded from being absent from professional wrestling circuit. Again, you made 3, maybe 4 appearances on the main 2 shows. You were on AEW Dark. I don't know how much that affected you not being able to wrestle on Dark, which is the company's YouTube show. I don't know. So he says he again contacted the legal department to complain that he was being punished for doing nothing. It was then that Nemeth discovered the real reason why he wasn't being booked.
Because nobody wants to see you on fucking TV. We're playing games here. Goddamn Ryan Nemeth. What are you doing here? What is this lawsuit, dog?
Hold on. So he says it was then that Nemeth discovered the real reason why he was being benched. Brooks had insisted upon this. This is again why I'm like, how can you prove that? How can you just be like, well, I'm not being booked because CM Punk showed back up to work. And it's like, don't keep using this guy on Dark. I bet not see this guy around here nowhere.
On the show that I don't watch. I don't even know that show exists. I don't want to see him on that.
Yeah, so this, of course, got us to the Greensboro incident. The Greensboro incident was highly publicized at the time, at the beginning of the start of AEW Collision. That was, he was supposed to have a booking in Greensboro, North Carolina, and he got taken off the show. It was heavily hinted that Punk did not want him there, so he's told to go home. His account of the situation is he showed up. He finally got a booking on April 12th, 2023 for Collision, Greensboro, North Carolina. On the morning of August 12th, Nemeth was walking through the hotel lobby to board a shuttle to the sports arena where the wrestling match would take place. He saw Brooks Brooks immediately took out his phone and began to text. A moment later, after that text was sent, Nemeth received a text from AEW supervisor Pat Buck saying he needs to speak with Nemeth as soon as he got to the arena. Upon arriving at the arena, Nemeth sought out Pat Buck. Buck told Nemeth that he needed to leave the arena immediately, that travel would be arranged for him to fly out on that same day. Now, do I believe that Punk was walking around like, hey, I'm not on the other show. His people, I don't want them over here. I don't want CD over here. I don't want anybody that's in that friend group over here. I absolutely believe he did that.
Facts.
But when you put this account in there that you saw this guy walking through the hotel and you saw him look at you out of the corner of his eye and then start texting, and that's how you knew that you got taken off the show. Again, how can you prove that? Like, you have no idea. He could have been texting his mom like, "Hey, how are you?" Like, you don't know that. Like,
hey, I left my bag. Could you grab it? It could be anything in the fucking world that could have been the reason for CM Punk doing this. And there's just so many things where I'm like, dog, what do you like? It wasn't, none of this is guaranteed. Nobody was like, Ryan Nemeth is going to be the next world champion. Ryan Nemeth is going to be this guy. He's going to do all this. And if I'm Punk, I'm not taking sides on this. If every time I see you, the next day management is talking about you saying something about me, or you saying I did this, or every time I see you, it leads to a problem, I'm going to tell you to go be on the other show then, or try to make some effort that we're not in the same locker room because you're scared of me.
The guy at one point tweeted, "Softest man alive." If that's why I'm like, if you're putting out an inkling that you don't know why he didn't like you, I don't know that I believe that, dog. I think you know why he didn't like you. Now,
and again, this is fucking wrestling. This is a wrestling locker room, dog. That's also a lot of shit you're involved. Like, you don't have to like these people. It's just how it goes.
Yeah. Now, again, am I making the argument that that's right? No. I do think that Punk was being petty, and I don't think that he wanted several guys that were in the Elite or the Bucks friend group at Collision tapings. And I think that he made the point of saying, no, they can't come here. But when you try to frame it in this way,
the text message thing is so funny.
I saw him
and he started texting somebody.
I saw him in the lobby. I saw him texting somebody. And I knew that's why I ended up being sent home. So, boy, do I not mean to laugh at this guy's pain. But
either, man, it's just crazy.
The idea that Punk told somebody, "Hey, man, nah, not on Collision. I don't want him here." And they told him, "Not, hey, man, we don't need you tonight. Don't worry about it. We'll make sure that you get compensated and paid. Just head back to the hotel." They said, "No, you're not booked. We're going to get you flight and get you up out of here. You can't even be in Greensboro. You got to get out of here, dog."
The part I don't understand, though, is, okay, so you said you were on your way to the arena. You got a text from Pat Buck who said, "Talk to me as soon as you got to the arena." And then as soon as you got to the arena, they sent you home. Why wouldn't they just text you while you're at the hotel to stay there? Hey, don't come to the arena.
That's what I'm saying. Like, again, I could see in some parts here where this was mishandled. But the idea that he got to that arena and was like, "Nah, dog, we're not using you. Don't worry about it. We got you a flight. We're going to get you up right up out of here."
Your flight is already booked, actually. Just go right to the airport. It's crazy. Listen, wrestling, like, on one hand, Phil, wrestling business and how it runs and management, it can be some shady shit. And he's probably... there's so many wrestlers in AEW, and we've heard other people talk about being booked in situations like this, but it's not, I don't want to say it's not personal, because there probably was a little bit of personal in there, but it's not what Ryan Nemeth thinks it is. Because I just take all the Punk, everything out of it, take any issues that you have, the booking was going to be the same, is what I'm saying. No matter what. I don't think you were going to set the fucking world on fire, and AEW is going to be like, Ryan Nemeth's the next guy. You were never for 1 second going to be the next guy in AEW.
But that's why I'm also, like, if you're saying that Punk didn't like you, so that's why you weren't booked on Collision. I absolutely believe that, and I do think that that's wrong. But that's why I said you're on a tier contract where you're a guy that's mostly used as enhancement on Dark and sometimes on the main two shows, and you're in a dispute with one of the biggest stars in the company. They're not gonna pick you over him.
That's probably the craziest part, huh? It's like they have this affinity for CM Punk because he's a big fucking star, dude. What do you mean?
And that's why I'm saying, like, Margie is absolutely correct. She says that, I mean, that's an abuse of power, and I'm sure it happens all the time in wrestling. And that's why I'm saying I'm not in any way sitting here and saying that that's right. I do think that's wrong, and I do think that there were things that were happening with Punk there that were wrong. But there's bits of this here where I'm like, yeah, but if this was a contracted wrestler, like, I think if Jack came with the same lawsuit, it would be a bit different because Jack is a full-time member of this. It would be a little bit different. So to finish up his account of the Greensboro situation, he says, Nemeth was embarrassed and humiliated in front of the wrestlers who witnessed him being kicked out of the arena. More importantly, fans observed him leaving the arena. Pictures were taken, and the expulsion became viral, quote unquote, on social media. The humiliation caused irreparable damage to the marketability and reputation of Nemeth. And he goes on to say the entire episode was engineered by Brooks. Brooks demanded that Nemeth be told to leave, and he would be flown out of Greensboro immediately. Khan, for his part, went along with Brooks out of deep admiration. I again come to, how do you prove that, though?
How do you prove it? How you know? How you know? Phil, look, I'm plugged in to AEW and things and wrestling. I watched all the shows that he is featured on. I know about Ryan Nemeth. I used to watch Being the Elite. He was on there. He had his own segment. He'd sometimes be on the fucking Sammy Guevara show. Like, I know which part you played in this, but it wasn't going to be that. That's it.
Yes. So he says he was not booked again until November 18th, 2024. That was the last time he wrestled for AEW. Nemeth continued to follow up with AEW's legal department in hopes of trying to resolve the situation and avoid further conflict. In a bizarre email, AEW attorney Chris Beck reached out and threatened legal action against Nemeth and accused him of, quote, using ghostwriters in his email. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that means. So are you telling me that you've had enough interactions with Chris Peck that you sent this particular email and Chris Peck was like, nah, I recognize this. This don't look like how Ryan talked. He don't know these legal terms. Who wrote this for you? What is going on in this suit, man?
For the right price, I could even make your shit tighter. That's crazy. Bro got a ghostwriter for his emails.
So
Chris was like, nah, this ain't no bars, dog. I know who this is.
This ain't no bars.
These are not your bars, bro. Who wrote this?
He goes on to say, on November 25th, 2024, Brooks left AEW to wrestle organization's main competitor, WWE. This is again where I'm like, that's wrong, isn't it? Because he went back to WWE in November of 2023. Mm-hmm. Yep. And when you frame it, Brooks left AEW to wrestle for the organization's main competitor. No, he got fired. Yeah. He got fired.
Left that out.
In 2023. He got fired in September of 2023. And he ended up with WWE in November at the end of that year during Thanksgiving weekend.
Yep. You know these the dates you already started what you said about him, because he goes, oh, this happened in 2023 All Out, or the brawl happened with Nick Jackson and Matt Jackson in 2023, blah blah blah. But then he tells a story about, he's like, in April 2023, which would have been before that. So it's like, I don't really understand what's going on here. Like, you're a little confused on the date. Like, if we just start there, it's crazy. But like, there's way too many. You have to. No concrete evidence. You have to assume so many things, and like wrestling, the wrestling part. Like they gave it's like known that they gave CM Punk a show essentially. Like
Yes.
that's what essentially what Collision was. Did you think you were going to be wrestling on this show while at the same time antagonizing this guy at every moment that you get? Like he also played a role, even if it's small or whatever it is. You're trying to be the little guy who doesn't have anything to do with this, but you're inserting yourself in this. I'm sure Punk felt a way about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know.
What the fuck are you? Who are you? What are you doing here? Why are you a part of this?
I don't know the timetable. I don't know that he antagonized him before he quote unquote had a problem with him that he doesn't know where it stemmed from. I don't know. And again, that doesn't make it okay for Punk to potentially assault him or banish him from Collision just because he's friends with people he doesn't like. Those two things, he's not right to do that. But again, when you then turn that into a case that Brooks engineered this conspiracy against you to stop AEW from booking you altogether and stop any company from booking you, I don't know, man. That's a lot. That's especially when he has nothing to do with how things are still booked with AEW. I don't know. And so he says after Brooks left AEW to wrestle for WWE, Khan was heartbroken by the departure of Brooks, his idol that he adored in every way. That is what it says here is this bullet point. Khan was furious with Nemeth. Khan believes that Brooks left AEW because of Nemeth. The defendants have embarked upon a campaign to blackball Nemeth from professional wrestling. What? Specifically, Tony Khan blames Nemeth for Brooks leaving AEW and has used his significant resources to make sure that Nemeth can never again make a living in wrestling. The conduct of each defendant was malicious, and the defendants intended to cause injury to the plaintiff. Defendants acted willfully and with a conscious disregard for the right of the plaintiff. Again, he got fired.
Yep.
He got fired. Everything about this reads crazy. And I'm just like, what do you have to do with this incident between Punk and Jack that led to him getting fired? Even if you're sitting here and telling me anybody that had any interactions with Punk that led to him being disgruntled for this, I'm upset with all of you people. How do you prove that was enough for him to say, I'm not booking this guy anymore? And even if he did that, if you were on a per appearance contract, it's his prerogative to do that.
Yep. It's booking. It's a booker. He's doing booking things. You can't, like, that's where it starts and dies. You can't be like, I was supposed to. No, you weren't. Things change by the minute. If they told somebody 5 minutes ago, hey, I want you to do this, that shit could change to something else in 5 minutes. That's how the wrestling business works. So it's like whatever leg you're trying to stand on is going to be hard because there's not anything there's no photographic, there's nothing. You're just assuming. And then he said he wrestled after Punk, right? He said he came back in November 2024.
Yes.
It's also interesting.
I tried to find the actual lawsuit because everything I was reading was from the bullet points that was in the Fightful article. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find the actual lawsuit, but I've seen screenshots of the lawsuit, and like when he describes the defendant and Tony Khan, and they're like, this is a picture of him on the NFL draft day, and it's a picture of Tony with the big smile on his face with the neck brace, and I was like, is this supposed to be serious or is this supposed to be jokes? Like, what's going on here? Like, what is this? Like, and that's what I'm saying. When you just read his complaint from last year, it's like, hey, man, he might have some real grievances here because he was mistreated. And I do think that they could have handled this better. But when you come back and you put together this lawsuit with all of these things in there that are just assertions with no real concrete evidence, like all of this stuff about him having a deep admiration for Punk and he was his idol and all of these things, like, what is this, man? Like, and so Andre is saying the lawsuit hasn't actually been filed yet.
Gotcha.
This is even more to my point. This kind of feels like I'm trying to compile all of these things to tell you I'm serious about taking these things to court. Pay me what you owe me. And if Tony makes the decision to just settle and make this go away, I get it. But I can also see him looking around like, nah, what the fuck is this? I'm not paying this guy nothing. I'm just going to continue to ignore this until I have to deal with it. Yeah, all of this is very bizarre, and I take no joy in, us sitting here talking about this lawsuit and making jokes or laughing about it, because again, I do think that he was legitimately mistreated in some ways. I do think he was wrong.
And if he was assaulted, that's fucked up.
Right, and correct. If he was actually assaulted here, that's wrong, and he should have been punished for that. But
he was
the way this, yeah. But I mean, yeah. If you can make the case that he assaulted somebody before the Jack Perry incident, and you didn't fire him until that Jack situation, yeah, that doesn't sound good. That's terrible. But the way that this lawsuit is compiled, the way this is written, how are you supposed to take that seriously?
Right. That's what I'm saying. It feels like it feels like some of the bullet points were like, we want Dave Meltzer to talk about this on a show. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like they were trying to talk to a certain, that's why I'm kind of going along what you're saying about them wanting to settle out. I think they're like, let's put out all this stuff that we know those guys know, and they'll talk about it. Meltzer will be talking about it. Wade Keller will be talking about it. Brandon Thurston will be talking about it. Then Tony Khan will have to do something about it.
Yeah. And that makes sense when Andre says that it has not been filed, because like I said, I was trying to find the actual lawsuit and like see if Tony and all of the defendants here have been served this, and I couldn't find that anywhere. Yeah, this looks like some mess. This is what this looks like.
Thought we were done with this CM Punk shit, Phil, and here we go, right back to it. Here he is, named in this lawsuit.
Like I said at the start of this, if you told me 2 years ago that this was going to lead to Ryan Nemeth being the guy to come out of this and sue him, I'd have been like, what are you talking about? Like, if this came out of like Punk doing one of those interviews and you have proof that he breached his NDA or something and AEW sued him, all right, I could see that happening, but I don't know how we got to this path in this. All of it is very strange. Very, very strange.
It's lawsuits in general are awesome shit, and then wrestling's involved too, and it's not really real yet. It's just like, oh my god, I want them to stop this.
I wish you guys could have seen the noise that I made when I was reading this lawsuit and I read the first sentences of it. I was like, wait a minute.
Oh,
and I like closed the article and reopened it because I was like, wait a minute. Wait, is this really the bullet points from this thing? What's happening here?
I want somebody to go through a Grapsody podcast had like a year and a half where we talk about this lawsuit all the time in depth. Think of how many times we said Ryan Nemeth's name when discussing it. And he was the reason. This guy was this is the first I'm hearing about this.
Nah, that's the real scapegoat is real scapegoat is Ryan Nemeth, not Jack Perry. Now, next thing he's gonna do is file a lawsuit for gimmick infringement against Jack Perry because he is the real scapegoat.
And also, Judge, this motherfucker Jack Perry took my gimmick. He took my van.
Bro,
Ryan, I don't want to laugh at your pain, but it's a lot, dog. It's a lot.
This was a journey reading this lawsuit. Wow.
Great bit. I had a great laugh.
Rafael Garcia, you are correct. Kevin Kelly
that's right.
and the former boys are still attempting to sue AEW as well. I don't know how far they got with that.
A lot of Kevin Kelly's lingo is like Ryan Nemeth's lingo of like, they don't like me. And it's like, that's not a...
Yeah, like, when you get into a court of law and you're arguing things and you're trying to get compensation and punitive damages for something and it's your word against somebody else's, you got to prove that, man. You got to prove that you're owed back pay for these things. And that's why I'm like, I don't know the wording in his contract well enough to argue for or against it. my immediate assumption is, all right, if you're on a per appearance deal, how can you prove that bookings were taking away because of malicious reasons?
When people that work there right now don't know what they're doing tomorrow, you know what I mean? So it's can't can't put something on anything.
I don't know, man. I just, like I said, I think he has a legitimate point.
There's some stuff in there
about management and certain things, especially with some of the Punk thing and the chain of command and the mess around Collision. Yeah, that's been well documented at this point that there was some issues there, but I don't know, man.
We'll see if they make it, if they start serving people or what happens with it. But
yes, I hope you guys are still with us.
That was great. I loved it. Dude, just from the jump, just the first sentence, I was like, this is insane. It's about to be a fucking roller coaster, dog. Successful actor? What do you mean? Hold on. What have you done? What have I seen you in? Oh yeah, we got some super number chats. Let's do this and move forward. Van Twinblade says Dimension 20 dropped the trailer for the next season, and it's a 4-episode run with Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, Bailey, and Chelsea Green playing.
That sounds cool. I did see the article for that, but I didn't get a chance to read it, so I don't know enough about it. But that sounds cool.
Oh, dope! I see. They're getting WWE wrestlers involved in all kind of crazy things, like just randomly seeing a State Farm commercial or whatever that Braun Breaker commercial. I was like, well, this is wrestling is pretty funny and interesting at points.
Yes.
Minimal says Big Homie and Bandito versus Big Bill and BK tonight. TK booking specifically for Reg, it seems. Honestly, like that match, I was like, oh yeah, BK and Big Homie across from each other. Thanks. I will be there and I will be having the time of my life. Honestly, a lot of these matches, I was like, oh, they booked a Collision card for me, but I'm coming, Tony Khan. You don't have to keep adding stuff on. I'm gonna be there, dude. It'll be fine.
Listen, I know that Tony Khan has a deep admiration for Righteous Reg, and he books his shows accordingly to get him to come to these shows all the time.
He does. Sorry, I can't say that because I don't know about in advance book. He don't book for nobody, Ryan Nemeth. He just books for everybody. Oh my God. Phantom for the win says WWE not acknowledging Black History Month is the new norm, sadly. Is it the new norm, Phil?
I hope not, but I would not be surprised if it is.
Right. That's kind of how I feel too. I don't want it to be, but if it is, I wouldn't be surprised.
And I'd be shocked.
Right. Leonard Aarons III says, calling it now, Christian leads Revolution as AEW World Champ. Thanks to the returning Bucks and Jack Perry, Cope clearing the way for Christian. Bucks too?
I don't know, man. I don't know that I buy that, but sure, maybe. Based off of the build we got from Wednesday, to nobody's surprise, it's going to be Konosuke Takeshita taking on Kenny Omega at Revolution. I thought that was pretty clear. The match itself that we got main event was absolutely fire. Got a barn burner out of that, but I don't think anybody's surprised by the results of it. I think we know the match we're getting. It's kind of the same way with the build so far with the Cope Mock stuff. I think we know the direction we're going in. I've seen some people say that this could be leading to Jay White turning on Cope, but I think the booking's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it is. It seems like I just think Jay White is needed as a baby face at this moment. I think it's a little too heel heavy, and I think he could represent a certain thing. So I don't know if that's going to be the thing. Yeah, the booking of Okada, Omega, and Takeshita has been super interesting because when they announced it at Grand Slam, it was like, okay, we're getting that match. And we all kind of, even beyond the announcement, we kind of figured that was going to be the match. And so they like made some hoops be jumped through. And I was like, well, this is an interesting choice. But then I see what they did with Orange and Takeshita this week. And I was like, okay, I understand. You could have probably just did that match. But I get it.
Yeah, I don't know that we needed to go around in circles to get to the match, but the end result was great. Those guys was out there hooping. The match was incredible. But we're at where I assume we're gonna get to Kenny Omega versus Takeshita at the pay-per-view. I do think that Kenny's gonna win. I think he will be your next international champion.
So do I.
But the way we got here, it could have been a bit more cohesive, especially after Grand Slam Australia. They got the pin over Takeshita, so why did we need this tournament in between here? I didn't really get that.
It's like they wanted to stack some wins for Takeshita before. I get it. I understand. Get him a big win over Orange Cassidy, maybe one more win this in a week before Revolution could happen, but it makes sense. Seeing Kenny another banger at Revolution is going to be amazing. I'm going to be there live. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and we got the development between Ricochet and Swerve. I thought that segment was great. Ricochet continues to be one of my favorite characters on the show so far. This heel run has been transformative for him. People are now saying the guy is pretty good at cutting promos, and that was the knock against him for a long time. When he came out there with the robe and that fit and the hat backwards, I died laughing. And then I started laughing even harder when he turned around and revealed that it was the Eagles hat. All really funny stuff. And the Nana stuff at the end, I thought that was played up really well. Swerve enticing him to give him the rematch by saying that he wants a world title match afterwards. I think that's smart. I think that's a clever way to get to the rematch, because for Ricochet, he should be feeling like, no, my whole bid since I left WWE is to be champion. I went to Japan and challenged for the world title, and so that's the next move for me here. I beat Ospreay. I beat you already. My next move is to move into the world title picture. And for Swerve, since he lost the title, that should be now the next move for him. Now that he's finished up the stuff with Hangman, he's no longer embroiled in the stuff with Hurt Syndicate. That should be the next move to get this guy back in the world title picture. And he won the championship famously last year at Dynasty. So I'd assume if he wins the match here at Revolution, he will be challenging, I would assume, Jon Moxley at Dynasty.
Yeah, this segment was great. I, like you, died when Ricochet came out with the backwards hat and the suit and the robe. I was like, this guy is hilarious. But just like how confident in his mannerisms and cocky he is with the promos are amazing. He feels just so in place. I keep saying when's the last Ricochet match that we saw? And we don't even care, dude. Like, it used to be like we want to see back-to-back matches. Now it's like this guy could come out and do a promo and have one of the best segments of the show every week. It's like such a different contrast. It's been funny, like going down YouTube, scrolling YouTube and seeing all these people that used to say this guy was the worst promo ever, all now being like, we love Ricochet. He's great. This heel turn's amazing. Like, the change has been so good. Swerve's been playing a great role in it too. I think like him being like, I kind of took my eye off the ball. I really want to be world champion. I'm fucking on with this Ricochet stuff. I don't really know, is this the mark I want to be making right now? Nana had a great declaration of being like, look, I had your back for everything. I had your back with Hangman. That fool was trying to kill me. Hurt Syndicate kept putting me in the hurt lock. Like, I've been getting my ass beat. Like, I've been taking hella bullets for you. It'd be dope if you take one bullet for me. This robe thing is way bigger than this Ricochet shit, way bigger than one match. Like, this is my life here, and I need you to fight for it. Like, just a great little element in being like, this could be it if you don't do it, just to give Swerve a little bit more motivation, because he should be continuously motivated to try to be world champion, and most importantly, help Nana, who's helped him a lot.
Yes. And I think it also makes sense with Nana saying, like, he's been saying all along the way, you're taking this too far. Like, why are you still involved with this Hurt Syndicate thing, for example? Now you're in this Ricochet thing. Like, I've defended you at every turn with this. Like, I put that robe on you because that is a mark of greatness. We won a championship together. Let's get back there. This is going too far. You let this guy take my robe and disrespect me. Like, what are we doing? Like, we're supposed to be back in the title picture. So I think that all fits together with the story they're telling of him trying to get back to the world title picture and reestablishing what this company started with the Dynasty era.
Right. Yeah, this is also like an added little extra stakes to the match is going to make the match even better. It's going to happen at Revolution. I think these guys are just going to go fucking bar for bar, word for word. I think Swerve's going to go over. I think next I'd like to see Ricochet maybe lock it up with Hangman coming out of this.
Yeah, I think there's a lot you could do with Ricochet. I do like the idea of him winning some gold eventually. You've got a few belts that he could challenge for. I don't think that he's going to win at Revolution. I think the move here is probably going to be Swerve picking up the win and going on to challenge Jon Moxley. Swerve and Moxley also have history together from the Continental Classic. There's also that great clip of Mox finding out that, wait, you're that kill shot guy? Yeah, cool guy from Lucha Underground. So I think he would love to have a match with him, probably, based on some things we've seen in, when he was still doing the podcast with Renee. Just a hunch, probably a match that Mox would like to do.
I would think so. It feels like something he'd be interested in. I just thought about, you said extra championships or other championships Ricochet could challenge for. Kenny Omega beating Takeshita and then Kenny and fucking Ricochet, dog. There's still so many Kenny Omega dream matches, Phil, that are just sitting there and we need that are going to happen that I'm so excited for.
Yeah, very excited with the build. I saw a chat that we've been talking, and now the chat has disappeared into the scrolling words. There it is. Or Crazy says, OMG, is that the guy from Ring the Bell? It is. That's my homie's YouTube channel. DS, shout out to the homie DS. He just came back from Korea. Glad his mother is doing well. But yeah, I've done multiple things with DS because that's my guy.
Phil from Ring the Bell. I love it. Great stuff. Let's get into a few more super chats because there's some AEW discussion in these super chats too. Richard Martinez says, "This is my favorite wrestling podcast because y'all don't take anything serious. Makes my Saturday never change." I mean, what am I? I mean, I don't know any other way. I think at this point, Phil.
I remember there was a worry when Will left this podcast because he kept this thing going when we just wanted to sit here and make jokes. So I've seen people that are like, man, you're going to leave those two inmates to run the asylum? You can't do that. This boat hasn't crashed yet, guys. We're still on the road. We're still steering this thing.
I don't see no glaciers in our man. We just kicking it. Feels great over here. I thought that too. That was a concern. Like sometimes Phil and I be going off on some tangents, but we learned how to hone it in, as they say. Freak 51 says, LOL, TK not giving Shane AEW Dixie would have TK not giving Shane AEW Dixie would have so fast. Talking of course about, we got a little news story about Shane McMahon and his meeting with AEW. Was that last year? Has it been 2 years now?
It was last year.
Last year, we, of course, saw some pictures of Tony and Shane McMahon meeting. And so we got some recent reports that essentially Shane McMahon's demands were, I want to run the show. I want to do everything. I want this to be mine. I want AEW to be Shane McMahon's AEW. And Tony Khan, they said, ghosted Shane McMahon, the right move.
I don't know why anybody thought that was the move to bring a McMahon in. When this company has built itself up being an alternative, why would you want to bring a McMahon in? That sounds like a terrible idea. McMahon's
gonna say when he comes in here, I'm a McMahon. I know the wrestling business. I should run it. Of course.
That sounds like a terrible idea. Even if he came in with good ideas, I still wouldn't want to see that.
No, you got.
I'm good.
In there? No, I'm good. You talking wild? You want the whole thing, and you don't even. His also thing is I don't watch the show too. Nigga, get out of my fucking office.
I immediately thought of that GIF that goes around all the time of I think it's Donald Duck that cuts the slice out of the cake and then takes the whole rest of the cake and just leave that slice there. Nah, dog, you're not about to trick us, dog. Leave me alone.
No, You want everything? No, and it's gonna be McMahon attached to it, like I continuously was saying. No, we're good, dude. Nice meeting with you, bro. Big fan.
Big fan.
Tony P says, yeah, that Shane news did babyface TK with some fans. Yeah, because that would have been crazy.
That sounds absolutely nuts. Who wants to see that?
That's why I feel when everybody keeps talking about this. What if Shane's the essential higher power for Death Riders? I'm like, why are you?
No, cut it out.
Why are we even saying this? Nobody wants this.
The way that I would cut my TV off and then cut all the lights off and then proceed to walk out of my house and then just walk like Forrest Gump, where he just ran for 3 years. I would just keep walking and just never turn around because, like, what the hell are we doing?
Or he just ran for 3 years. That would be one of those booking decisions. Don't. That's why I'm like, I hope this puts a fucking stamp on the Shane McMahon shit, because that was not going to be good. The homie Anthony Cruz says, you guys going to Mania? Can you guys do a meet and greet? If so, would love to meet you guys. Also going to a wrestling school to possibly be a ref. That's awesome, Anthony Cruz.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, we are going to WrestleMania. We had talked about doing the meet and greet in either Vegas or Dallas, because boys are definitely probably going to be in Arlington for All In. I don't know that we agreed on where we want to do this meet and greet.
Feels like with timing, we probably should go for Texas now, because Vegas is quickly approaching. But the game's not over, though.
We'll figure it out.
We're going to be in Vegas, though.
We will let you know. We both will be in Vegas. We have started booking. I need to book my flight, speaking of, but I'm seeing in our chat, and I'm trying to confirm it. This is, in fact, true. Soul singer and legend Angie Stone did pass away at 63. Rest in peace to Angie Stone.
Rest in peace to Angie Stone.
Sad news. Very sad news.
I was just reading a story about her and D'Angelo's kid, and I was like, that's dope. Fucking shit, man. Rest in peace to Angie Stone. That's really unfortunate. Mod Revolve says Swerve versus MJF at Double or Nothing for the belt would be cinema.
Bro, I've been thinking that too, because we got the opening this week of Dynamite with the MJF and Hangman stuff. I do think that's kind of the next big feud for Swerve, and it's kind of been it's the
lingering one.
Yeah, it's been an open plot thread for a while. I mean, because towards the end of MJF's title run, it did seem like Swerve was eventually going to challenge him for the belt, and he ended up losing it to Samoa Joe before that match happened, and then he beat Samoa Joe. So I feel like that's been one of those big what ifs. They've been kind of throwing jabs back and forth with each other for a while. So I hope that that's a feud we get this year.
Every time they see each other on TV or some capacity, they always have that look of like, I'm waiting for you. Oh, it's coming. It's happening. We're going to get locked into this. And I think this year is definitely the year. I think coming off of this MJF and Hangman feud, like I was saying earlier, I think I'd like to see maybe Hangman lock it up with Ricochet coming out of this. But I think Max and Swerve is a collision course for sure. And it's going to be insane.
Yes.
That's all of our super chats.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys for all the super chats. We got a few more Humper chats. Just want to double check.
60 days. 60 days. I forgot about 60 days. Wrestling is so funny. That was a lot of 60 days ago. Oh man, I love it.
From Tony P, he said, then my annoyance reappeared with SmackDown Open because the opening promo with Trish and Tiffany was ass. Oh boy, oof, boy, this was not very good. I liked a lot of people involved in this, but this was not very good. It was what they do a lot with Trish when she comes back as a babyface, where they're trying to do this elder statesman ambassador thing where she's very happy to be here. She's happy you still welcome her into your homes. 25 years of wrestling, which, man, shout out to Trish. 25 years of wrestling. That's incredible. And just again the impact she's had on women's wrestling at her height, and then being able to still compete on this level with women of this generation. That's
so she's just
impressive.
doing a woman John Cena promo, essentially.
Yeah, so doing that. I'm happy to be here. Hey, Toronto, I'm so happy to see you. Then Tiffany come out. They do the Trish and Tiffy time. It was very cheesy. But it's not very good. But shout out to Trish, man. Like, can't say anything but good things about Trish. She still looks great. She still wrestles great.
Looks amazing. Oh my God. Yeah. Every time I see Trish, I'm like, damn, she looks something better than some of them young girls out there. It's crazy.
Yeah. Tony P goes on to say, however, I feel like too much. No, I'm sorry. I'm reading the wrong Humper chat. Sorry. He goes on to say, then they proceeded to do some 2018, 2021 booking with the whole night, even with a good 5-man promo minus Paul, the good triple threat, and the women's tag. This was very weird. I don't know if you watched SmackDown last night, but at some point they announced that the U.S. title match was going to be LA Knight versus Nakamura.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I saw that part.
Then they canceled it to do like this one-night tournament where they had a bunch of matches that led to a triple threat to decide who would be the winner. The matches itself were great. We got Jacob Fatu versus Andrade. A lot of fun. Got LA Knight versus Escobar. LA Knight versus Escobar.
Yep.
Then we had Carmelo in a one-on-one match. I'm now drawing a blank on who he wrestled, but he won by DQ. And Braun, that's what it was. One-on-one match was Braun, and then that set up the triple threat of LA Knight versus Melo versus Jacob Fatu. LA Knight picked up the win here. So LA Knight is still the number one contender. So by the end of this, I was like, okay, then why did we do any of this if it was the same result? What was the point of that?
What? I thought you were. I thought this was leading to LA Knight's I thought that match was going to be for the championship, and they just went back to LA Knight. What happened to Nakamura?
So that's still going to be the match for the title, but this U.S. title thing was to set up the number one contender for the U.S. title match. But it was going to be LA Knight anyway, so why? I didn't get it, but some of these matches were fun. Like I said, Jacob Fatu versus Andrade. I thought that hit. Weird booking for this.
I mean, I saw people were pretty excited about Jacob being like in the title picture,
Yes. Jacob was great last night. He had some backstage shenanigans with Solo that were good. Still very much planting the seeds for Solo versus Jacob at WrestleMania. The promo he's talking about with all of the men from the Elimination Chamber match was fine. It was all the guys come out and say their piece like they do with a lot of these big multi-man stipulation matches. If you've seen one, you've seen all of them.
I was thinking, it immediately make me think about the Money in the Bank one where all the guys are on top of the ladders and they're doing the big promo in the ring. Yeah, same kind of shit, huh?
Yes. Tony P says, with tonight's show, I feel it is either Cena or Punk. However, with that Paul and Punk exchange, I feel Punk is not getting that main event this year. However, I will not be shocked that Drew is the dark horse to win. Let's go through this Elimination Chamber card. I believe it is another WWE 5-match special.
Anytime they got the big gimmick matches, for definitely sure it's going to be a short card.
Okay, it's 4 matches.
Oh, even shorter.
Yeah, up first we have the men's Elimination Chamber match for a shot at the undisputed WWE Championship. John Cena will be taking on CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, Damian Priest, and Seth freaking Rollins. Based on this Rock and Cody stuff, I came in here last week and I said it makes all the sense in the world for Punk to be the guy that sells his soul. And you've already set the seeds for it. And there's some reality here. There's some in real life stuff here that fits in very well with this guy being the one that sells out and becomes the corporate champion. I'm not as sure anymore. Based on the stuff that they showed Monday, because they made a point of showing this video package for John Cena, and they put all of this stuff from the press conference right after Royal Rumble. If you remember that press conference, John Cena was like, I'm going to put myself in the Elimination Chamber match because I've earned it. I deserve it. That is a heel thing to do, to jump the line. Everybody else had to do a qualifying match, but you've just decided, I don't have to do that. I've earned the right to just be in the match. The very heelish thing to do. He also made a point of saying, I'm going to go to WrestleMania and become a 17-time world champion because that's what's best for business. And he said that again, maybe 3 more times. In the video package, they emphasized him saying best for business multiple times. So when I was watching that video package Monday, I was like, sure seems like there's a chance this guy could be the one that sells his soul to The Rock and becomes the corporate champion and turns heel for the first time in his career. Sure makes a lot of sense. And I thought sure would be Punk last week, but watching this, I was like, And then there was stuff last night. They tried to show it again. And before they could finish the video package, Drew McIntyre cut it off. And it was like, cut that off. And he was doing a walking through the crowd and talking like CM Punk. He even got out to the ring, and around the ring. He sat on the announce table like Punk, and he started talking about how he was screwed out of his opportunities. And I was like, boy, this all looks familiar. It looks like CM Punk. And I think that immediately ruled out the chance that Drew McIntyre is going to sell his soul, because he made the point of painting that picture.
Right.
And Damian Priest came out, Seth Rollins came out, and then Punk came out. And Punk made a point of saying, I've seen people say that I would sell my soul, and I would never do that. And he was breaking down the reasons why, and I was like, I think that they are setting up Punk versus Cena somewhere down the line. And I think it would make all the sense in the world with where Punk is. Because the thing that I missed last week is that while I think a lot of people that are not big WWE fans, or people that may have a problem with Punk going back in the way that they did, in the way that he did, they want to see him turn heel and do and admit that he's a sellout. But when you listen to that crowd when he comes out, they love him.
Don't make sense.
I don't think it makes as much sense for him to turn heel now. But at the same time, do people really want to boo John Cena during his farewell tour? I feel like
I'm on the fence with that, because like people are not gonna want to do him. But I think that is the most interesting story, especially if we've kind of been thinking that it was going to be Cody and Cena anyways. Just having a match because Cody wants to isn't enough. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be something.
Yes.
Cena has to be in there for a reason.
Yes. Yeah, and that's why I kind of lean more towards Cena winning the match and turning heel. I'm curious if we're going to see Roman Reigns in this match. I could see Roman Reigns doing the Shawn Michaels bit of coming out from under the chamber and costing CM Punk the match, or costing Seth Rollins the match. But it kind of feels like this is Cena's match to win. I think Cena will win the Elimination Chamber. And I do think, based off the reports that we've been getting all along, the match at WrestleMania will be Cody versus Cena. And this could be a heel Cena during his farewell tour.
A heel Cena with The Rock backing him? That's pretty wild. That's wild.
I don't know what to make of that. And there's some interesting things about that. There's the report at one point that Cena was supposed to turn heel in 2011, and that was during his feud with The Rock. There was also the connection between WrestleMania and that moment of passing the torch and the two biggest stars of their generation, and The Rock and Cena. If you want anybody to pass the torch to the next generation and cement Cody Rhodes as the top babyface of this era, it has to be John Cena. And so the fact that these two guys would be cited against this generation's top babyface, that makes all the sense in the world. But again, I'm not sure how the fans are going to react to this, because it's his farewell tour. People want to cheer John Cena. It's very ironic that all this time people have wanted this heel turn, and now you're doing it in a time where it's not clear how people are going to react to it. Now, I think there's two ways to look at this. There are fans that appreciate John Cena so much, and they've wanted this heel turn so long that they're going to love it, that John Cena is finally giving them this on its way out. And there are people that want to boo John Cena regardless.
Yes.
So this is going to give them the means to boo him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very curious to see how it turns out. I'm leaning in that direction that John Cena is going to win this and turn heel. I could see Punk winning and turning heel as well, but right now I'm about 95% that it's going to be Cena.
The reason that I like it a lot, because it's going to make The Rock look like a hypocrite too. All that shit he talked when he came back and was feuding with Cena and was saying he's all this, and then for him to make that same guy the corporate champion, I think would be awesome. And then, you know, just having a couple of interactions going out that, I just think like there is the two sides of like people want to cheer Cena, but damn, he's been getting cheered for 15 years straight. Like he's got all the cheers he could ever get. Like maybe just take a couple of these boos before it's over. And it doesn't even have to be for your full run. You could just do it for half of it and then turn back. People aren't going to care whatever the fuck you do. You could do it just for the one damn match and be like, just kidding. And people would be fine with it.
Yeah. And Cena, if anybody, would want to put Cody over.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I think him being heel going into this match and playing up one of the break Ric Flair's record, I think that's really ultimately to give Cody the win on this big stage and really meant him as a big star.
Good for Cody. He deserves it too.
Yes. And I mean, there's a chance that he could just win and break the record. I don't know why you would do that, but there's a chance that he could do that.
I did see somebody make a pretty good, before the thing happened last night, a good Drew McIntyre argument on how he could be the corporate champion and like the reasons why that would be good. But I just think they're going to try to run with the Cena thing while they can, you know?
Yeah, I feel like the match for Drew is going to be Damian Priest for WrestleMania. They've had too many exchanges at this point. It feels like that's the match for Drew.
They're going to cement that tonight.
Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if Priest ends up pinning him in this match. The Punk thing is interesting because I've seen people say this could lead to the Logan Paul match.
Because of that stare down? Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't want to see that at all.
I mean, that would potentially get you the one-on-one Roman and Rollins, though. At the sacrifice.
I don't want that though. I kind of feel like this is still going to be the triple threat match that they've been teasing, which I don't want. I want them to just do the one-on-one Roman versus Rollins, but
I feel like if it's a sacrifice at Logan Paul, I feel like Punk is going to be like, this is the shit I've been talking about. I want to wrestle Logan Paul at WrestleMania.
Yeah, no. I have no interest in that feud at all. But yeah, that's the other reason why I could see Cena turning heel, because even if he doesn't win at WrestleMania, then the rest of his farewell tour is him trying to break that record, and that puts him firmly in place to potentially challenge Jey Uso, the guy that eliminated him from the Royal Rumble, down the line. And I wouldn't even be surprised if he beats him.
Right.
And people would be very mad at that, but I think that
he shouldn't be beating Cody.
No, I think it makes more sense for this to lead to Jey versus Cena. And even if he beats Jey, I think the obvious road from there is Cena versus Punk at SummerSlam or wherever else.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna beat Cody at WrestleMania, but he also could though. They have done some wilder things.
He could. But yeah, I definitely think John Cena is going to win this. And I think Roman will show up in some way here to set up the triple threat or whatever he's doing at WrestleMania. Yeah. The women's match is more in the air. I don't know what to make of this women's match because for the last few weeks, I assumed Io was going to enter the chamber and win. And I was going to set up Io versus Rhea at WrestleMania. Instead, they're doing Io versus Rhea next week on Raw for some reason. So I don't know who's winning this match. The women's elimination match for a shot at the Women's World Championship will be Liv Morgan versus Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Naomi, and Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez got a great win last night, pinned Bayley. That's going to give her a big motivation heading into this match. That's going to make her a dark horse to win this match. Well, I think that would be really interesting if they went with that. I can't see them doing it.
I can't see it. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess
in the match, I'm like, who could go against Rhea that's gonna make the most sense at WrestleMania?
Liv Morgan, which I don't know, that's our heel. Roxanne Perez is a heel. That's really it. The other four women are all baby faces, which is why I think Bianca's probably gonna win and turn heel. Otherwise, what else are you gonna do? They've been chasing this Bianca and Rhea match for about 2-3 years now. I think this is your chance to finally do it. And as popular as Rhea is, she's not going to get booed. I think you're going to have to turn. I think you're going to have to turn Bianca. Very curious if we see Jade here. We got that report recently that she will be returning soon. There was the report that she was not cleared in time for Royal Rumble. I don't know if that's true or not. But
they just lost the belts on Monday too, right? The tag belts.
Yes, and that tag match was really good. I was surprised how good that tag match was. The main event with Raw was really, really good. I thought the women worked very hard. I think that Bianca and Naomi have great chemistry together. I ended up enjoying them as a tag team more than I enjoyed her and Jade. I thought, like, them coming out together with the gear, I thought that they looked good together. They worked well together. The double KOD that they were doing, I thought that was cool. But yeah, they worked really hard here to pick up this win. Liv Morgan and Raquel are tag champions for the third time, I believe. Mm-hmm. I think Raquel is at least a 3-time champion.
I was trying to think of a way that Jade could get inserted and turn if Jade comes tonight, how could that play into the Bianca potentially turning heel? She could come and screw Naomi, and then Bianca could be like, yeah, I was down with that. Like, I think there's a couple of ways to get to it, but then do you let Jade and Bianca remain friends? Because Jade has to be heel too, I would assume.
I think the easiest way to do it is to reveal that it was both Naomi and Bianca that was behind it. That way, going into WrestleMania, you can set up Naomi potentially versus Jade. Okay. And then you can just have Bianca go on to wrestle Rhea.
Oh, right. Oh, Jade and Naomi at WrestleMania. That is a good match. Okay, yeah, that does make sense.
Yes. And even if it's not a WrestleMania match, you can just set it up for whatever, and then you can do Bianca versus Jade somewhere else down the line. So maybe that's where they're going. I don't know. I still think the women's match is wide open. I'm not nearly as certain on this one as I am at the men's match.
They've been talking a lot, like they've been propping Roxanne up on every show. They're like, Roxanne's in this match and she's going to be awesome and she's going to be this. I'm like, could they? But I just don't. That would be a great moment for Roxanne, but I still feel like they're still trying to sell this Bayley thing, even though they've been in the ring a couple times together, you know?
Yeah. There was that report that Becky could return in time before WrestleMania. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're going to do with Becky at WrestleMania if that's the case. I don't know how long these cards are going to be because they've been doing the 7-match card. If there's 7 matches on both nights, I don't think we're going to get more than one women's match on either both of these nights or one of them. I don't know. Easily you could set up, if Becky comes back, Becky versus Lyra for the Intercontinental Championship. I think you've got to get one of those mid-card belts on the WrestleMania card, or at least during that weekend, so that these belts matter. If that's not what you're doing, I don't know.
You got to add some prestige to it, and I think that Becky Lynch and getting like Becky or Charlotte's already somewhere else, but getting them type of people involved, I think would make a lot of sense. I'm just trying to see where could Becky be slotted at when she comes back. It's not like they're going to send her right to the main event, or they need to send her to the main event because she's such a big star that she can work without either of the top championships. So it's going to be interesting. Like, some people are talking about, will somebody do the Edge thing and come out tonight and replace one of the people's in the match? I feel like the women's match is probably a little bit more wide open than the men's is.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you're going to do the Edge thing, that makes sense for the women. I think that's the easy way to get Io in this match.
Yep.
Or that's a way to get Becky in the match if Becky is there. But it's just still weird to me that they built all of this anticipation for Io versus Rhea all the way up to this point just to do it on Raw. I don't understand the decision.
It's on Monday. Actually, it's next week. Don't even worry about it. I do want to mention. We talked pretty extensively earlier about the top 10 women's list. Natty Neidhart. I know, like, it sounds crazy, but like we're talking about influence, impact, and things that she done. Natty Neidhart, man, y'all got Natty fucked up. We can move forward, but I just wanted to definitely mention her because I think she should be mentioned more.
I don't think she gets nearly enough credit either. I don't know if I could say top 10, but I do think that you got to put her in more conversations, especially when you look at like the horsewomen and the women that had matches with her that then turned their career around. Charlotte is Charlotte, partially because of that match she had with Natty on NXT. The amount of women that she's helped train, that first year of Ronda Rousey, that's in part because of Natty working with her. So, yeah, I agree. I think when you talk about
maybe not top 10, that's pretty high, but like
Yeah.
if we talk top 20, then Natty's in there, you know?
Yes. And she's another one that was there for all of the terrible stuff during the Divas era. They gave her that stupid fart gimmick, and she ended up surviving. She's still with the company after all of that time. So, yeah, I don't think she gets enough credit. And I mean, not just the women, she's training some of these men too. I mean,
right. Some of my favorite indie wrestlers are like, I was trained with Natty and it was fucking awesome. Like her and TJ over there killing it.
Yeah. You see that picture of her with Van Vliet and the sharpshooter on the stage? I was like, what's going on here? She's got this big smile on her face. She's got Van Vliet and the sharpshooter. I was like, where is this? What's happening?
How do you get Natty to put you in a sharpshooter? That's crazy.
We've got the tag match on this card as well. Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus will be taking on the team of Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. I don't think that this is much of a mystery. Babyfaces will be winning this. Trish Stratus in Toronto. I don't see them losing. Also, Tiffany Stratton leading up to WrestleMania. I don't see her losing here.
Why didn't they like insert Sasha in this or insert Charlotte in this match? Like, why didn't they put her in Candice's place?
Yeah, that was an odd decision here too. I don't know why they didn't put her in a spot, especially when Trish has had a match with Charlotte in Toronto at SummerSlam. I think you had a easy way to put Charlotte on the card with this, even if you're going to do a 6-woman and maybe put somebody else on team Trish Stratus and Tiffy. I don't know why they didn't do that.
Because like you want to get the people that are going into. Like, it's so interesting that they do this pay-per-view right before WrestleMania, but like Cody's not going to have a match and Charlotte's and like all these people that are primed to have big moments next at WrestleMania are like just not involved in this pay-per-view. It's weird.
Yeah. I don't, that's why I'm saying I don't think that they've done a great job with building the momentum after Royal Rumble, especially with the winners. I feel like the winners already kind of feel like an afterthought. With this Rock stuff, it feels like
Jay's not on the card at all, right? Like he's gone.
Yeah, I feel like with this Rock stuff, you're already built it like whatever is happening with Cody is the main storyline. And then we don't even know what's happening with Roman yet, which leads me to what I was saying before with Royal Rumble. It feels like the main events are going to be whatever Roman's doing and the Cody match.
Right. Yeah. Doesn't matter who wins the Royal Rumble. It's like whatever Roman's going to be doing his thing, Cody's going to be doing this thing. They're already set up for this. But I mean, they got Cody on the card tonight, but they can't. I don't even know why they do. Like, he should be the most defendingest world champion there is. Like, if there's a fucking pay-per-view, he should be defending his championship. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense.
Yes. We've got Sami Zayn taking on Kevin Owens in an unsanctioned match. I think the build for this has been tremendous. That sit-down segment with Sami from Monday was really, really good. He came out again and gave us more promotion for this match last night. Kevin Owens was in the empty Rogers Center, and they are putting over how this is the biggest match they've had so far in Canada on this big stage. And it's different. It's not just a grudge of Kevin Owens wanted to win because it was ambitious. You tried to hurt me. You tried to ruin my career. And so it's different this time.
Yeah, this is, I mean, you guys know me. I can watch 1,000 of these matches, but them to add the little extra story elements, the thing of Kevin Owens being like, essentially you've pushed me too far. Like, I'm sorry that I have to do this to you, but you forced it on me. And Sami being like, I have to fight for my life. I know what you're capable of. This is an unsanctioned match in Canada. They're going to be fucking off the charts. There's 30,000 something people in there. This match is the heat on this is going to be crazy.
Yes. I love that Kevin Owens is still going, hey, you said you had a bad week. You're saying that you feel bad and all this other stuff. Why are you sad? I'm the one that was wronged here. Mm-hmm. And when they did the video package and they showed the stuff from Royal Rumble, and Sammy's like, no, this looks crazy. I was the guy. I was the only person in your corner. I was there damn near in tears because my friend was hurt and I was by your side. And you came and attacked me? What did I do? No, because Cody, I sided with Roman?
Not Cody, who was posing behind you on the stage. It's all favorite shot from Royal Rumble is Cody in the back of the two of them. No, this guy's okay.
Yeah. Man, I love the storytelling here. I think this match is going to be great. I kind of feel like there's not going to be a definitive win here.
No.
I think this is going to potentially be the WrestleMania match for these guys too. I wouldn't be surprised if this keeps going after tonight.
I feel like they're going to do some big bump where they both can't get up, and then they're going to be willed out, and then they're going to be like, we're going to do this for real at WrestleMania. So, yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. But, yeah, very excited for that match. I assume we're getting a big segment with Cody Rhodes and The Rock with all this build of The Rock wants Cody Rhodes sold.
That's why it's only 4 match. Rock's like, I need at least 25, you guys.
Yeah, we're definitely getting a 30-minute segment out of these two guys.
Facts.
Yeah,
what do they need to say for 30 minutes, though, Phil? Like, what is this?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up in closing the show, because I do think that it's going to lead to the Cena reveal, and Cena turning heel is a big moment. And so I think closing Elimination Chamber with that moment, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm sure they're going to hype it up to death and play it up all night like they did last night with Cody pulling up to the arena, and the same two guys that used to be Rollins' handlers when he was in the Authority. They were like, right this way. The boss got you your own locker room. He's got the sushi and fish and stuff in there. And they played up all of that stuff. I thought, when I saw those two guys, I was like, wait a minute. And then somebody put the picture up of Rollins with them behind him. I was like, oh, that's very smart. And yes. And then they also had the end segment last night of Cody in the ring doing an interview with Michael Cole. And the really beautiful thing they've done so far is in the Kevin Owens feud, they did enough to make you think that Cody could turn heel, because he did some things that kind of felt heelish. Even like we're saying, celebrating over Kevin Owens' lifeless body, raising both belts. That was kind of a heelish thing to do. And Definitely. So, yeah, you could see the seeds of them potentially making him a heel. And as I said, we talked about it last week, this is everything that he's always wanted. The first time around, he wanted to be the Office's handpicked guy. He wanted to be Randy Orton. This is what he always wanted. You can make an argument that this is what should have happened in AEW. He should have been the guy. And so coming back here after everything, and they're offering you the keys to the kingdom at a point where you're beloved. The people are behind you.
You don't need the corporate push now. You already got the people.
Yes. There's a great segment with him and Punk where Punk's walking past him. He's like, what's this about? He wants your soul? What is that? And so he's talking to him, and he was like, you don't need this. And he was like, I think you should take the deal. And Cody goes, what? He was like, yeah, you should take the deal, turn it sideways, and stick it straight up his candy ass.
Good bit. Yeah, I could definitely also see them. If Cena is the big thing, that's definitely going to end the show for sure.
Yes. But like I said earlier, all of that stuff with Punk could be a red herring. Him telling him don't take the deal, and him saying, no, stick it up his ass because I'm going to take the deal. And he's making a point of protesting so much of, no, I would never do that, because he is going to do it. So either one could happen. Personally, I still think it's going to be Cena.
I think they like babyface Punk, but that shit would hit though. Like Punk as a corporate guy next to The Rock would be hilarious, but I just think he's getting too big of pops. He represents something way different right now.
Yeah, because again, I think the way that people outside of this that are calling him a sellout and they're mad at him, their fan base don't care. Their fan base is still cheering him. They don't care.
And they don't think he sold out. They're like, he came
No.
home. He didn't come on no
They
sold
don't
out.
exactly. They don't care. So I don't think it would hit the same as Cena, that has been a babyface for most of his career. You can make the argument that the Doctor of Thugonomics was a heel, but for the most part, this guy has been
of his career. He's been a babyface.
He's been a babyface. Like we mentioned earlier with Cody basically being Super Cena. Super Cena, when people wanted this heel turn, he was just like, no. And that also is a very funny dynamic to do here with Cody, because Cody also refused to turn heel at one point when people hated him.
Famously known of like people were telling him and Cody's like, nah. But again, he was right. I think Cena was right for all the times when people were telling him to turn heel. It wasn't a time and place. And Cody, the same thing. Now you see him and you're like, oh, this makes perfect sense. They never made him heel. Look at this.
Yeah. And we got the inkling last night that The Rock is kind of playing in Cody's face. He did that reveal afterwards where he rambled to end SmackDown a little bit, and he got to an end of it and said, man, I'm your friend. And he revealed all this time that he had a weight belt around his over his shoulder that says Cody Soul on it, and the date is Dustin Rhodes, the way that the day that Dusty Rhodes passed away. And I'm like, yeah, he's kind of playing in your face. He doesn't, I don't think he really believes that Cody's going to take the offer. I think he already knows. I think that he has already made the deal with Cena, because like Boris is saying, how do we know that the offer is open to anyone else other than Cody? I think he already knows Cody. He's not going to take the deal. I think he's already struck a deal with Cena, and I think that's why he acted out the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I think it was like the seeds were planted, and this is just a thing to throw us off of like, no, we actually offered to Cody, but it's never been really offered to Cody. It's just a thing to get him to the place they need him to be.
No, he said something else that stuck out to me when he was saying, yeah, this day broke my heart. That was the day Dusty Rhodes passed away, and you broke my heart again last year. Don't break my heart again, Cody Rhodes. I think that he's still mad at him from last year. I think all of this we're friends thing, I'm not buying it. See, Bragav is saying, by the way, Phil, according to PW Insider, the men's chamber match will main event. KO and Sami before that, and a Rock Cody segment before that. So your Cena theory could happen theoretically. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that he's gonna turn the Rock down early in the night, and that's gonna lead to Cena winning the chamber in the main event.
Okay, yeah. That if it's structured like that, it plays into it even more.
Yeah, that is Elimination Chamber. 4 matches, not 5 matches. I will be hosting the post show on this very YouTube channel with Rick Ucchino. When I said it certain earlier, I was trying to remember who was hosting this with me. Shout out to Cresta. I believe she was saying she didn't feel well because initially she was going to be doing it. But I believe it's just me and Rick Ucchino.
Oh, shout out to the homegirl Cresta. I hope that she's doing better. Definitely check the homie Phil out later if you're watching the show. Let's get into a few super chats and we can get up out of here. Anthony Cruz says, can we get WrestleMania match predictions? We predicted a couple of them.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to get Rock versus Cena. Cody versus Cena. And I think we're going to get the triple threat. I think it's going to be Roman, Rollins, Punk. If I had to guess, I think it's going to be Rhea, Bianca,
and then everybody else kind of already set up.
Probably a big multi-man for the SmackDown Tag Championships. Because they've been setting that up for the past few weeks with Street Profit stuff. I think the way to try to envelop all of this stuff with Naomi and possibly Jade and the other women's stuff is probably like a big multi-match for the U.S. title, the women's U.S. title.
Yeah, a lot of multi-matches. Yeah, should be pretty good. Well, Chisholm says, Seth telling Punk over my dead body that Punk will main event Mania. People need to stop playing with that man.
Yeah, I died laughing last night because he comes out and he's doing his usual routine, came out to his music, laughing, having a great time, and he was mocking everybody in the ring, and then Cult of Personality hits, and he just sits there and gets incredibly quiet. He hates this man. He hates Punk.
He's like, everybody's so happy. I'm never gonna be happy this fool's back. I fucking hate him, and I'm gonna.
As soon as he came out, as soon as his music hit, his entire demeanor changed. Very funny. Whatever that fit was that Rollins had on, that was crazy. And Punk gets out to the ring. And he was like, "And what are you doing out here? You look like an oven mitt. I cooked you. I cooked you on January 6th."
Like an oven mitt is crazy. I like that feud is still hot. You know what I mean? And it's like they just keep adding to it, and they're kind of subtly telling the story. It's great. Mr. D says the unpredictability is a sign of horrible writing. I don't agree.
I think in the case of the men's match, the fact that we could see this going either way between either Punk or Cena, I think that that's a good thing. With the women, I do think that they failed to really tell an interesting story with the competitors, and that's where I can see where the fact that the field is wide open for the women. I don't think it's a good sign for the way that they've been booking the women ahead of that match.
Oh, I guess I was reading that wrong because I feel like you should book so the shit is unpredictable. You know what I mean? That's where I guess it's kind of because like I understand like you should go into matches being like, well, this story is going to lead to this, but there also should be some we don't fucking know stories that are unpredictable.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true too. Yeah.
Will Chisholm says fans telling Cody to sell his soul is wild. They love his ass. They love him as a babyface, but do think it's part of the fan base to see how heel Cody works in WWE.
Yeah, I think there is a big part of the crowd that would like to see him take the deal and turn heel.
Right.
But I just don't see it happening. With just how over this guy is right now, what they're doing in merch sales and everything, nah, I don't see it happening.
Cody's at the... Like he's not on Raw, but he's still at Raw in the dark match main event. Like that's like when you're at that place, it's a different kind of. This isn't just like regular people thing. We could turn Cody and do like no. It's deep. Will Chisholm also says if the Julia news is true, it sucks, but we might get 2 belts Stephanie Vaquer.
Yeah, 2 belts. Vaquer might be back outside, man. It's unfortunate. I hope that it's not a serious injury with Julia. I don't know if that report is true, but it is interesting that they got to this matchup so quickly. I don't know what that means. Again, I hope it's not a serious injury.
Like I could have seen this match happening at the Mania weekend NXT show, but like they're getting right to it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I was reading something about it, and it was funny. Oh, Meltzer's thing was oh yeah, these 2 women are supposed to have a match. One of them is injured. I don't know which. I'm like, probably the one that didn't just have a match, Dave. I don't like she came to confront a wrestler. Like, I think we can assume what is which. But yeah, I hope Julia's okay. They're saying it potentially is just from her style. That's just like when you wrestle the type of style like that, you're just hurt all the time. So hopefully she's good.
Yeah.
Ryan Sassini says, I always thought you could do a women's Evolution faction with Natalie representing the Divas era and maybe Flair and 2 NXT people like Jada or Lola.
Yeah, I agree. I thought you could have done something like that years ago, like an Evolution styles faction with the women.
Yeah, I kind of figured they would have done this by now. It's kind of interesting that they never have.
Mm-hmm.
Hassan Butler, what's up? Hassan says, y'all think Wyatt 6 showing up to the women's match tonight?
We haven't seen Wyatt 6 in a while. I don't know. My theory is that Alexa is going to go on the feud with Liv Morgan, and then now that they have the tag titles back, that's leading to a tag championship match with probably Alexa and Nikki Cross. Because, I mean, they've been showing the Wyatt stuff during Alexa's segments recently, but I don't think it's turning Alexa heel. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe Alexa's going to win the chamber match and she's going to effectively turn heel.
Oh, Alexa with the YS6 on her side. That's how she could do it. And then that's how, okay. Yeah, I see. That could make sense. Tony P says, I am curious to what WWE promised Natty to resign with them, not liking how she's treated now with as much as she can give back.
I don't think she was ever going to leave, to be honest.
I don't think so either. I don't think that was in the cards. I'd like, she's a lifer for sure. Like, she's only going to leave if they tell her she has to, but if they don't, she's going to stay forever.
Yeah.
And then the homie Laron Ford with our last super chatter of the day, very generous, and we appreciate you, just says, I don't have a question, just wanted to thank you for an excellent show as always.
Appreciate you.
That's really dope, man. Appreciate everybody for submitting super chats today. Y'all are the best.
Yeah, got a few more upper chats, and we're going to get out of here. Oh, that's cool. I saw homie Sydney is saying, watching from Zambia. Appreciate you.
Anytime I see stuff like that, my mind is blown because I'm like sitting in Oakland just talking to my friend over this thing, and somebody hella far away is enjoying our stuff. So thank you guys. That's so dope.
Every time they mention doing these international shows, I'm like, man, when is somebody going to do a big show in Africa? I feel like it should happen. There are a lot of wrestling fans in Africa.
Dude, there's a bunch of wrestling fans in Africa. I don't know why they haven't started over there, and they're fucking ready for it too.
Yeah. They've got the big soccer arenas too. I feel like, that one's kind of overdue. I'm surprised they haven't done it yet.
I just see some of these concerts that go through there, and they're fucking packed, dude. There'll be hundreds of thousands of people trying to see some entertainment.
Trying to wait for the screen to get our last Humper Chats up. And then we're going to slide up out of here.
We gonna slide.
From D-Lo Diggs. From D-Lo Diggs, he says, much love to the Graps crew and fam. Very up and down week for your boy. Dragon Ball Diamond's last episode made me cry because it's Toriyama's last project and it was good. Rest in peace to Michelle Trachtenberg. But don't get it twisted. It's always fire that bum, Nico Harrison. Bro, it's for life with this guy now.
I feel you.
Yeah. Diamond was great. A lot of really fun moments from that. There's a moment where I don't want to spoil it, never mind. But great moments. Really fun show. It was emotional knowing that was one of the last things Toriyama contributed to Dragon Ball fandom. Love to see people saying how much they appreciated his work online last night. It doesn't seem like it, but he's been officially gone for a year. I did not realize that he passed away a year ago. Rest in peace to Akira Toriyama, and thank you for all of the memories for Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Quest, all of the things that he contributed to. Mm-hmm. From Tony P says, in other wrestling news, that Saya Tam loser leaves Stardom match. I feel like this may be Tam's retirement match for real. I know there has been talk for a while of her doing so since a couple of years back. It wouldn't make sense since Saya is hot now. Yeah, I don't know what to make of this. It feels like this is Tam's swan song, which is crazy to think about, but currently where Saya Kamitani is, I don't see her losing. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. It feels like Tam's going to lose.
Tam's going to retire, or just from Stardom?
Like, retire.
Shit.
Because Tam's older than I think people realize. Tam is what?
She been working that high impact style.
Yeah, Tam is currently 36.
Mm-hmm.
I could see her retiring.
Yeah.
So yeah, but excited for the story they're telling with that.
Good for her.
See, from Jose Ojeda, he says, shouldn't be sending this since I'm unemployed now. Pray for me, LOL. But Daima was peak fiction. Did you have a favorite new character, Phil? Yeah, Glorio. Glorio's dope. I thought it was hilarious that Goku kept mispronouncing his name, and that led to the great moment of him finally pronouncing his name correctly. Glorio's dope. Majin Ku ended up being really funny. I can see a lot of people not liking a lot of the humor around Majin Ku, but I thought he was hilarious. We got 2 more from Tony P. Oh, and hopefully everything works out for you, Jose. Hopefully.
Thanks, Jose. You do not have to do that. We appreciate you.
2 more from Tony P. He says, I have always said the most disgusting and disturbing thing about WWE using the black culture is the way they move when it came to us, always leaning into the Rock Samoan side and ignoring his black side, to how they stereotyped us, to the Booker/Triple H match, etc. This does make me think about the old talk of representation of black people in WWE and AEW 2 years back. I have my ideas for the lack of black wrestlers and their use in AEW back then, but it wasn't bad like WWE is now. Yeah, there's certain things that I've looked at, and I've kind of felt like WWE has always done this thing with our culture where they want to see it
somebody else
they want to see it on draped in everybody else but black people, and that was in the way that they booked John Cena. I've said for the longest they would never ever give a black wrestler a rapper gimmick and let them be a 16-time world champion. That would never ever happen.
Too Cool would have never happened if it was 3 black dudes dancing in the middle of the ring. It just wouldn't have been like this.
It would have been a little fun gimmick for a while, and then that was it. Like, and there are so many examples of that where they love black culture, but they don't necessarily love marketing and pushing black people to the forefront.
Yeah.
That is all of our Humper Chats. Appreciate you guys as always. I believe that is all of our Super Chats, correct?
It is.
Yeah. Thanks as always for tuning in. This has been a fun one. Elimination Chamber tonight. Homie is going to Collision. Should be a fun show.
Colliders.
But this has been Grapsody. I'm Phil Lindsey, Righteous Reg. We're out of here.